Cheers, queers! What's on the big gay agenda today, Theora?
Today, we are going to be deep diving, sort of, into The Last of Us. Why is my voice like this? Excuse me.
Theora's been through it in this apocalypse.
I was crying a lot. Okay, listen. The trauma. Okay, this is going to be a recap episode of season 1. We're going to talk all about season 1 of The Last of Us and because there's so much in season 1, and then do a separate episode just about season 2. So this won't be a scene by scene breakdown. This is going to just be our like things we would like to talk about, our favorite moments, characters, stuff we loved, that kind of thing.
Yes, and we couldn't talk about The Last of Us without having our Last of Us expert, Elena, here to join us.
Yay!
Woo! We're so glad to see Elena again.
Oh, I've missed you guys.
We missed you.
And unlike us, Elena has played the games. So we have that perspective coming here. I'm excited to hear your take. Yeah.
I've played the first game and I've watched some playthroughs of the second game, but I was too heartbroken at the second game to play it myself. So
that's valid.
Yes, I have played the first one myself and it's very fun.
Yay. I've heard it's a very fun game.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
I'm terrible at it. But before we get into The Last of Us, we need your help to keep making this content and spreading it to everyone who will listen. So please share this video with at least 3 friends who enjoy queer media or The Last of Us in general. It'd be very helpful for us. And also, if you're interested, all of us at some point reacted to The Last of Us season 2. So we have some episode highlights on YouTube, but our full-length, full season reaction is over on Patreon. So go check that out for $5 a month. You get access to that unedited without the blue boxes. I'm pretty sure they're on there.
Probably.
And then we have so much other queer content over there to enjoy. So go check that out for some more fun.
Yes, this isn't the last of The Last of Us from us.
No, it is not. Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's get into The Last of Us season 1.
Ooh.
If you haven't watched it, you can watch it on HBO Max. I'm going down this list right now. Because they changed the name back again. 5 years later, they're like, no longer just Max. We're HBO Max again.
I never called it Max, so for me, nothing ever changed. It was always HBO Max. That was a stupid move.
Yeah,
I'm glad they recognized it.
When will Twitter go back? That is the question.
When Elon is no longer.
I think it'll die first, honestly.
Yeah.
Fair, just like a lot of people in The Last of Us.
Yeah. It's on brand.
Oh my god.
So what is The Last of Us about? Again, if you haven't seen it, probably go watch it first and then come back and listen to this because you're about to get spoiled with a lot of things.
So many
But
things.
in case you don't know, it's based on a game. The series is set 20 years into a pandemic caused by a mass fungal infection. This is from Wikipedia, by the way, which causes its host to transform into zombie-like creatures and collapses society. The first season, based on the 2013 game The Last of Us, which I can't believe that's so long ago, follows Joel, a smuggler tasked with escorting the immune teenager Ellie across a post-apocalyptic United States.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on.
It was basically like during the whole big revolution, like The Walking Dead and like all these zombie apocalypse shows, like World War Z, I think had come out like fairly recently too. And it was like this whole new concept of like zombie apocalypse of like, it's like humans, but they're not like dead, like not undead. It's not like supernatural. It's like actually scientifically, hey, they're being possessed by fungus, like actual fungi in their brains. This like something that almost could happen. Like I think with like today's science, like we probably technically couldn't happen at the rate, like not like right now at least, but like with how science and everything has been evolving, especially with the world, who knows?
Yeah, that was one of my favorite parts about the series. So I specialize in infectious diseases. So like watching this, I was like, it is plausible. because like I don't if there's some OG listeners here. Our first series we did was a show called Motherland Fort Salem, which if you've never seen that show, it's no longer on the air anymore. But it was about witches in this post-revolutionary America, where it's like, if the Salem witch trials didn't go down like this, what would America be like? That was basically the show. What if they were superheroes or whatever? But in one of the episodes, there's a witch who specializes in like death magic, essentially, who has this I don't know if you remember the scene, Caitlin with Scylla and the death cap mushroom. Do you remember that, where she had like the dead bird and like the little thing, like she like
Yeah.
sung the song, and then the spore comes out and it like opens up. That's a cordyceps. So I was like, oh shit, like they're
Oh.
yeah, it's the same thing. There's a scene in this show that it's the same kind of like fungal element, and I was like, oh shit, like it's not plausible, this premise, which is one of the things I loved about it, versus just like usually in apocalyptic zombie shit, they're just like, and it happened, and nobody ever explains it. They're just like, we're just in it now. We ain't got time to figure this out. And so I like that we had the whole lead up of like how it happened, and like they're like, well, warming temperatures could make it possible, and like that's which is happening now. And the spread of it, they're like, well, if somebody didn't get bit first, the chicken or the egg, and they're like, well, it's a fungus. Fungus gets in food. It probably got in the food. We were eating it and didn't know. And like, and just like it is plausible. And as a ID expert, I will say that most people probably don't realize now in real life how hard it is to treat fungal infections. Like, we have less than 10 drugs total that can treat them. So if something like this were to happen, like my favorite moment is when the mycologist is like, no, it's over. Like, because there is nothing we can do. Like, we even now, like, we really don't have a great handle on fungal infections that are hard to treat. Like, yeah. So I love the premise. Like, well done, whoever came up with this, because it's true. Like, there is that death cap fungus that controls the ants.
Yeah,
Mhm.
so fun fact, one of the creators on the game, Neil Druckmann, is actually on, like, he was one of the creators for the first 2 seasons of the show as well.
Yeah.
So, that's actually part of why beautifully it was able to stay so true to the content from the show as well. Um, so
That's
yeah,
so
it's like his
helpful.
concept. I cannot remember the life of me who the other people were who worked on the game, and I'm so sorry, folks, because they
We
are
love
getting
you.
completely forgotten, but they did a phenomenal job. But yeah, very well written, honestly, especially because that
Yes.
game came out. Obviously, it was written before that, but it came out in 2013, way before like COVID and
Yep.
like way before all this. So it was like
Mhm.
amazing that the show came out at a time it's very relevant. Like boy did this age very well.
It sure did. And I have questions for you guys on that later. Just piggybacking off of like the writing, I will say the world building is also incredible, because through Joel and Ellie,
Mhm.
and at least in season 1, and then in season 2 later, you do get to see different pockets of America, and like America's a huge ass country. And so I
Yes.
do like that you get to see how different groups of people dealt with this. And like either they were successful or they weren't successful. Like the episode with like Henry and Sam, when they're like, oh, they're in this underground area, and they're like, this looks like people were living here. And they're like, they probably were. And then someone didn't follow the rules and everybody got eaten, or not eaten, but like converted into cordyceps
Yeah.
or whatever. But it's like, it's almost like you have like an ancient civilization kind of like within the post-apocalyptic realm. Like, humans post-apocalypse were here and it didn't work out. And then you have like Jackson, where you have successful settlement. So I thought that was really interesting and clever. And unlike a lot of zombie apocalypse stories, because zombie apocalypse stories to me are just like you're fighting the zombies and that's the whole story most of the time. This was kind of like a glimpse into humanity, and it read more to me like a fantasy story versus just like we're in it, kill zombies kind of thing, which I really liked. So there was more like lore to this world, and things to explore other than kill the zombies.
And it gave you more time to breathe throughout each episode, because
Yeah.
there were down times. It wasn't just literally
Yeah.
kill.
Right. And that's
Yeah.
typical of fantasy. So fantasy stories have rest periods. And usually in like a typical fantasy story, like in medieval times, it's usually they go to an inn, and that's like the rest period. And that's pretty typical of like Lord of the Rings and those kinds of stories. But here we had, what I loved is we had slice of life moments where you would meet other characters. Like you had the Bill and Frank episode. That was a rest episode. Like, yeah, there's the zombie shit's going on, but you rest in their life to see how they cope with it. And then like same thing with like the Henry and Sam story. It's a rest episode because you're just pausing in their life to be like, what happened, versus just like go 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 go, like in a linear time with like Ellie and Joel, who were like the main story in season 1. And I really love that. That to me was a really brilliant storytelling, and it's one of the reasons I liked season 1 more than season 2, because season 2 was more like linear and you stuck with the main point of views, versus like season 1 had those rest episodes where you're resting with other characters who were ultimately connected to Joel and Ellie, but like you got to spend time with them and rest in their story before getting back to Joel and Ellie. And I like that kind of format. It made me more invested in the world, not just like the Joel and Ellie stuff.
It's almost like an ensemble every episode. It's just the ensemble changes each episode.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The beautiful thing about that too, especially, it's like, because we know pretty much, I think from the very end of the first episode, like what the whole point of Joel and Ellie's journey is like,
yeah.
Joel needs to get Ellie to the doctors to figure out how her immunity works and if it can help. That's the premise from the very beginning. And so getting to see all these different like lives of people kind of helps drive that this is why it needs to be done, because everybody is dealing with this everywhere. So
yeah, that's a good point. It does invest you more in like, Ellie, you got to get there, girl.
Yeah,
until we get to the end, and they're like,
the end
should
even
you get
more.
there?
Yeah, it even makes it at the end even more just like very conflicting. It's like
conflicting is the word, definitely.
Very conflicting.
Okay, before we jump off the deep dive into deep dark stuff, let's just jump into the happy stuff and go to the gays for a bit, because there was a lot more queerness in this than I was expecting, and I love it. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, it's really great because like I like that they, especially with the show, were able to add more into the first part, because obviously like in the first game there wasn't really any addition of queer storylines at all, like except for in the DLC when Ellie, like the whole story with Riley and Ellie, that was a DLC that was added on later.
Oh damn,
in the game.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so it was very good DLC, but yeah, it wasn't in the original game. And then Bill and Frank's story was very implied, not explicit.
It was off screen.
But yeah, so
that makes sense.
Yeah, Bill and Frank's story. I guess we can dive right into Bill and Frank's story.
Yes, let us do that. First of all, I love that. Okay, so primarily this audience was going to be like dudes, right? Dudes that like games, dudes that like zombies, like for the show, I mean. And then you cast Nick Offerman, okay, first of all, to play Bill, who's like, most like alpha bros are like, yeah, he's the most alpha of alphas because he played Ron Swanson on Parks and Rec. And then if you know Nick Offerman, he's like not like that at all. He's a wonderful human being. So to have him and then have it be a queer storyline, whoever made that casting decision, thank you. I just love everything about that. Thank you.
Nick Offerman being cast, especially like because Bill as a character, like even in the game, was very like very hardened, very this is the thing. So the show took a very different turn with the Bill's character than the game did, which I don't know. They both were great in their own sense. So I like that they were able to take this twist and do it so beautifully. So in the show or in the game, you get to meet Bill, like, and he's still alive, and Ellie, like, he literally handcuffs Ellie, and she, like,
he would,
like, yeah, she, like, hits him with, I don't remember what she does, but she, like, smacks him, and she's like, no, fuck you, you handcuffed me, jackass, and it's really funny, and she makes fun of him the whole way, like, while they're trying to get to this car battery, and it's really funny, but then you find out later that, Frank was his, partner, he calls him his partner in the game, very implied, and you find his dead body, and it's very, very tragic. And apparently they like had a falling out. Frank said, I hate your guts, and he left. But it's all like their romantic relationship, or their like the actual like more intimate relationship between them is very implied. It's not very explicit. Whereas in the show they were able to really kind of expand upon that. And while we don't actually get to see Joel and Ellie meet Bill, like, alive in the show, we get to see, like, Bill's story in meeting Frank and falling in love, and actually ends the opposite of what happens in the game. And it's like, oh my god. So it's tragic in its own way, in the show.
I'm really glad that
Yeah.
they chose to expand on this, because just seeing their everyday life in general was
Mhm.
really interesting to see how self-sufficient that Bill was able to make things. Like, they had this whole town that they just created themselves. And that's just so cool. And I love how, like, Frank wanted to fix up places because he's like, this is my home too. I want it to look nice for our friends that we do not have yet.
But we will.
Yes.
I know. I think this episode especially, like, is also adding on to casting Nick Offerman as as his character. So, like, I grew up in a culture where I grew up in the Midwest. I grew up in a culture where stereotypes were like galore. Like, gay men were all skinny, young, um, clean shaven men, like theater guys. That was like the stereotype that I grew up around, like very much theater guys. So, like, to see on TV, like, a more, first of all, older, like a more middle-aged guy,
Yes, that.
middle-aged and like full beard, hardened, like basically a redneck, if you will, like
Yeah.
with guns and explosives,
He's
like tough
burly.
guy. But, like, to see that break like the boundaries of like the stereotypes that I grew up with, it's like the world healed a little bit. My
Totally.
childhood healed a little bit from that, if you will. um but yeah, especially like when we watch Bill later, like as he and Frank live together, like his love seems to grow more gentle and more tender towards Frank, especially at the end.
Oh my
When you
god,
see, like,
yes.
he's still Bill, but that hard exterior has fallen a lot. And it's so well done, and just well done to the actors, first of all. Oh my god.
Yes.
Um
That's such a good episode. That's probably my favorite
yeah.
episode of the series. It's just
Well
so
done.
it's a beautiful like rest episode and just a full story that ultimately does connect back to Joel and Ellie. And like we do get to see the glimpses of how Joel was brought in and met them when they were like making friends, all that kind of stuff. And like you get the hints of them throughout with the radio. And Ellie's like, "What's this radio code? That's weird." And then you find out Frank came up with it, and how they were, even though they were isolated, kind of in their own little community, they were still part of a bigger community. And I like the point of Frank being like, we're doing this because what's the point of us just hanging out here? Like, there's other people out there. We could benefit from being in a community with people. So I love that little point they were trying to make with Frank, because otherwise it would just be the two of them. Not that that's a bad thing, but like, to Joel's point, when he comes over and sees them, he's like, eventually raiders are gonna fucking find you. like, and so we can benefit from each other, even if we're just not in each other's lives constantly. And I think ultimately that partnership they all made was benefited everybody at the end of the day. So yeah, I think maybe Bill kind of like, I mean, even his last letter to Joel in the show, where he's like, "I don't even fucking like you, but like, thanks for being my friend," or whatever. Was basically his
I
letter.
love that that letter was addressed to whoever finds this, but probably Joel.
Probably Joel.
Yeah. Because he knew Joel was probably the only one smart enough to get past. Because I think he and Tess were the only ones who ever actually made it into the
Mhm.
village,
Yeah.
like where Bill and Frank were, because they were like had like their smuggling job or whatever they were doing. So
Yeah.
he's like, no, Joel's the only fucker that would actually be smart enough to know my traps and know how to get around and all that. Because everybody else just comes and dies.
Yeah, basically. Well, I mean,
So
there's like 1,000 booby traps outside the gate.
yeah.
Bill would just be like, ah, just like watching it.
Yeah.
That was really funny. Over dinner, he's like watching
It's
zombies
his
get
reality
killed.
show.
Yeah, exactly. It was really funny. I'm like, he would do that.
His version of Survivor, where no one survives.
Oh
Except
man.
him.
I know. It was so like funny, especially like there's the scene at the very end when they're in the car. Ellie and Joel are in the car. This scene's basically word for word from the game, and it's one of my
Nice.
favorite scenes because it's just so funny. Ellie's like holding up, it's like a Playboy magazine basically, and Joel's like, "That's not for you to look at," and she's like, "Why are all the pages stuck together?" The look, like Pedro Pascal, like just the best acting ever, like just doing a
He's so good.
like the most awkward dad, like trying to explain to your 14-year-old daughter, like, um, uh, she's like, Joel, I'm just fucking with you. That was funny.
That
But then
was
the fact
really
that
funny.
she like tosses the magazine out of the window. At first I was kind of just like, when I first saw that in the game, I was just kind of like, oh yeah, it's just kind of funny. But now I'm just like, in hindsight, like knowing Ellie and the queer journey she goes on
Yep.
as a person, like, she saw that magazine. This magazine's presumably full of like naked men.
Yes. Yes.
And she's over here just like, I'm gay.
Right. No, she's like, I want to see. I think she tells him, I just want to see what the big deal is, and then she's like, eh.
Yeah.
Nope, not for
Like,
me.
this exists.
Yeah, Joel's over here just like, you shouldn't be looking at the
She's like, I'm not interested. We're good.
She's like, whatever. Bye. Bye-bye, dude, is what she says. That was great.
No, I love that. Yeah, because if you think about the context of that in Ellie's journey already, like this is post Riley. So like
Yeah.
it definitely could have been this like teenage curiosity moment. Am I into this? Nah. And she's fucking with Joel at the same time, which is chef's kiss, you know.
Yeah.
This episode was just so good. It's the definition of just like love is love. That's the way I would describe episode 3. And I always like so I rewatched it in preparation for this show we're filming, and I hadn't watched season 1 pretty much since it aired, like close to when I rewatched it, definitely episode 3, like, but I haven't watched it since then. So it's been like a few years, unfortunately, because the way they film and edit and all that kind of stuff. And I remember this episode as being incredible, but I honestly forgot how beautiful it was. I like cried again watching it. Like it's just so moving, this episode. I can't. And I love the dichotomy of the two characters of like, you have like the isolationist survivalist who also gets validated for being like, aren't you glad I was a survivalist this whole time? Like this kind of like validates all like the prepper people who are like, see. So there's that. You have Bill, the isolationist, and then you have Frank, who's like a puppy dog. And I love that when Frank shows up, he just like sweet talks his way into Bill's life. He's like, just one meal. I was like, but also a shower. And then he's like, but some music too. And how about I just live forever? Like here. So I do love the way he just like worms his way into Bill's life very like subtly. Like, I wonder, was he like a salesperson? Like, what was he doing in his job prior to the apocalypse? Because he's a sweet talker.
Doesn't he like really like clothes too? Like,
yeah, he seems like a detail oriented person.
Maybe it was like a designer or something.
But yeah, I don't think they ever said it. But I was just kind of curious because he just seems like he's a people person, and he would be good in a people person job.
I bet he was probably like
service on the side.
But he was like a carpenter, like an interior designer or something like that.
I can see that too. He has vision, like, you know, sees the bigger picture and stuff like that. Yeah. I can see interior designer too.
All I gotta say is I'm glad both of them were gay, because this could have gone totally different if one had a crush on the other and the other one was straight.
That would have been a different kind of tragedy.
Oh, they could have done an entire 2 episodes of just them pining over each other too. What the heck, man?
I would have also watched that. I'm not gonna lie.
Me too.
Okay. Well, one thing I love about Frank is when Frank comes into the house for the very first time, I love the way he immediately notices that there's like dust everywhere. Like it's very clear that like Bill upkeeps the property and things like that, but there's little things like he doesn't dust that like Frank notices. So again, the dichotomy of the two of them. Bill is very focused on keep out everybody. And so he's got it down, like the booby traps, all that kind of stuff, the practical elements of survival. He's mastered them, right? Versus like Frank is kind of like, he's the character that like, he's like, but the little things in life are what make life special. Like living in the moment, not just like surviving. And that's like the person Bill needed. because to your point, he was very much like, I mean, he was chilling and he's like, this is great. But like, was he living really? Like living in the full sense of the word? And I don't think he was until he met Frank, who like showed him like there's more to life than just this, you know? And in their first meeting, when they first meet, it's just so cute. The piano scene,
One of my favorites.
it's so beautiful. Like Bill, when I wasn't expecting Bill to play the piano, honestly, I thought Frank was just gonna like do this and that was gonna be the intro. But like when Bill gets on the piano and then plays it and sings with such passion, Frank starts crying. And I just love like he's so moved by like, and that's like Bill in an honest moment. And he's just like, wow, so moved by this person. And then he asks, who's the girl? And I love that immediately after just meeting Frank, Bill is comfortable enough to be vulnerable with him and say, there is no girl. And I love that Frank immediately understands what Bill is saying. And like that was so beautiful. There was no like, I'm queer conversation. It was like that, I get what you're saying kind of moment between the two of them. And I really enjoyed the realism of that.
Yeah, especially like the way that Bill says there is no girl, like
Ugh.
either he's never it sounded like he's either never said it before or he hasn't been able to say that in a long time.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
obviously like he's been alone for so long, so maybe it's like that is already that's a very vulnerable part of yourself. But yeah, it's like Frank too, especially like Frank crying at the song. It's like
Oh my god, yes. I love
how
that
long
detail.
has he been keeping it inside as well? And like especially like to like part of being queer, like the beauty of being out to the world and being proud of yourself is like that's a part of yourself that's free. But when you're in like such a survival mode all the time, like you don't even if like if you're in an apocalypse, you don't really have time to you know, express pride because you're kind of
Right.
trying not to die.
Yes.
So, oh man, I can only imagine like just how they were both feeling it in that moment.
I know. That was just, and like also like for Frank who hasn't heard music. It's like 4
Oh my
years
god,
since
yeah.
the inciting event. Yeah. And so he's like, I haven't heard music. And then here's somebody play the music and sing the music with such emotion behind it. Like I feel like that in itself was just really moving for somebody like Frank, who again is the person who like appreciates the beauty in life and cultivates that stuff, because to Frank that's what living is. And like here's Bill doing it like that. I love that because it's just like it was really speaking to Frank on this like personal level that Bill couldn't have possibly even known about Frank at this stage. And just like, damn, like it was just it was so well acted and executed it. And I just, that scene was just so many feelings.
I just
Yeah.
I love that Frank is not able to, like, Frank got captured in one of
Yeah.
the booby traps, but he's able to tear down the emotional walls instead.
Yeah.
And so easily too. The first meeting.
Right. He's a sweet talker so easily. He's like, oh, just one meal. Just one meal. How about I live here forever? He was like you ever see Mulan? He's the grandma in Mulan. How about I stay here forever? Like, that was him. That's what always goes in my head when I see Frank. Like, how about I live here forever? Okay, and then the other scene that I really love that's really sweet between them is the strawberry patch scene where Frank trades. I like this. Oh, this is so cute. This was beautiful on a lot of levels. Where Frank trades with Joel and Tess for strawberry seeds and then plants them in secret. And then when they finally have the fruit, he brings Bill over there and he's like, look what I did. Okay, first of all, I love the realism of when they're eating the strawberries. And it's been like, I don't even know how many years since they've last had a strawberry. And they're eating it and just having this like visceral moment of like, oh my god, a strawberry. Okay, like a fruit in America that's in every grocery store at this stage that we take advantage of every single day. And these guys are like, oh my god, a sweet fruit. Like, when was the last time they had fruit at all? It's always like you're living off root vegetables, animal meat, like all of the alcohol, but like a fresh fruit, like that's like, what a treat, like a gift from heaven or whatever. Like it's this, they're having this like spiritual experience by like eating a strawberry. And I love the way the actors play it out like that, where it's just like, wow. So I love the
Especially 'cause-
realism. Yeah, go. Sorry.
I was saying, especially because strawberries can take like months to become strawberries, so he had to
Yeah.
hide that for months.
Yeah, first of all, yeah, he had to hide that
Ugh.
for months. And like those were big strawberries, so it was probably a while that he was hiding this for. Imagine how he had to like keep Bill away from this one section of the community, like for a
Don't go in
while.
the yard. I put booby traps back there. What?
It's like, what do
No,
you mean?
over
I'm the
here.
one in charge of booby traps.
He was probably like disabling shit so that Bill would have to go fix stuff on the other side of the property and be like, this broke again. For like months.
I'm like, babe, why are you even over there? Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it. This is, just reasons.
I'm doing maintenance.
Yeah, beautification. Maybe I want to plant flowers here. You don't know. Okay, so like the realism of eating strawberries is great, but then also like the symbolism of them eating the strawberries. And like in the scene where they're in the strawberry patch, I love the way they're like down on the ground and like behind, like there's like trees, but behind them there's like the sun coming in. So it's this really warm moment, and the lighting makes it really warm with like the sun kind of like flaring into the frame. So to me, it's also like symbolizing like the strawberry. They're like tasting, quote unquote, the sweetness of life, of this life that they've built together. This is the fruit of their labor, literally and like figuratively in a way. And to me, Bill's line that really solidifies that was when he says, I was never afraid until I met you. Like, Bill never felt like he had anything in his life worth losing. Like, yeah, he's like my property. Like, he's that guy. But like, that's different than like being afraid if somebody comes and takes it versus being like, it's mine kind of thing. So like, finally, Bill has got to the point where he like, I understand the meaning of life, really, which is like like the love we have between human beings, which is such a almost a uniquely human thing, and it's this through line even in these apocalyptic narratives. And like, here's Bill being like, I finally understand what the meaning of life is. It's like you and our life together and our love together. And that's the encapsulation of like, I was never afraid because I never had anything worth having until Frank came along. And I just love that from Bill, especially that he's the one that delivered the line. It just makes it so much more impactful. And just that scene was very, very cute. And I love it.
It really is. You see the growth
Mhm.
that one person can make on the other throughout the years. It's just really
Yes,
cute.
Yeah, especially just the moments where you see Bill like expressing genuine joy
Yes.
after being so
Like
hardened
that.
for so long. Like the
Yes.
strawberry ones, the strawberry scene for sure. Like that was genuine, pure joy he felt.
Yes.
God knows how
Because
long.
at first he was like, why did you trade for this? Because Frank traded one of his guns
Right.
for the seeds.
Resource management.
You
He's
have
obsessed with resource management.
hundreds of them, babe.
Yes.
You don't need this one.
Right. He's like, it was a little one.
Just a little one.
A little one. Yeah, but that's Bill's instinct, right? He's the hoarder, survivalist kind of thing, and it's like these are mine. Like that's his instinct. But like you're to everyone's point, like Frank softened that to be like, it's okay. But look at this moment we're having because we have strawberries.
Yeah, like look what good can come out of
Letting go of
trading and not being to ourselves. Because
Yeah.
they would never have had this if he didn't open up their community to Tess and Joel to come in.
Also, like, yeah, that, and then also it kind of shows, like, Bill's the kind of stereotypical character that would be more traditional and, like, adverse to change. And, like, Frank is, like, change on steroids, basically, for Bill. And then, so that's a moment where, like, Bill is almost being like, okay, maybe change can be a good thing. And that's a big thing for that kind of, like, archetype to admit and or, like, embrace something that's different. So, like, it took years of probably Frank wearing him down, but, like, Bill did change, and I think that that's an important point to make in this apocalyptic world that people are capable of changing, for better or worse, because we see worse examples of that, too. But not now. We're in the gay section now. And, okay, so then, unfortunately, at the end, but we get their whole lifespan, basically, which I love, and, like, it's sad, but, like, I love the commentary of, like, dying with dignity that they have with Frank and Bill, Because I think Frank had like MS or something. He's like something that was incurable before the, the apocalypse or whatever. And he's like, I can't keep living like this. He knew it was time because he was in a ton of pain. And like, even with the meds, like he was losing himself. And, I love that he had the conversation with Bill where he's like, no, like, this is it. I can't keep doing this. And for Bill, I love that he, like, again, it's change. So his initial reaction is of being upset, obviously, but then he ultimately respected Frank's decision, which I love that. That was really sweet. And that's like a good partner, even though this is a really difficult position to be in. And I love that they have their. First of all, why did they get to wait so long to get married? Why did they just get married earlier? I don't know why we had to wait. I figured they would have done that sooner.
Second weekend.
Right. Or like when their friends were here. But anyway, because like Frank would seem like he bought like a little party.
That is true.
But just, just throwing that out there. But it's cute that they did it at the end. And I love that the details that Bill put into this day. So he does everything Frank asks of. Meanwhile, he's like, this is my last day too. But he concedes to everything Frank wants for the last day, which, to your point, Elena, like really shows like the depths of Bill's love and how he was willing to like be the caretaking one for Frank and just give Frank whatever he wants, even though this is like Bill's home and Bill's life and that kind of stuff. Like that's the ultimate transformation from like when you first meet Bill to like Bill's last day. And I love when the final glass of wine comes out and Frank eventually puts together what Bill is doing. And then Bill's like, he explains like why he also made the decision to like die with dignity, essentially, where he says, I'm satisfied. My purpose was you. Just like, and then Frank's like, this was objectively romantic. And he's right. Like, this scene was like peak romance and really, really cute and sweet. And I love it. I love it. I love it.
I don't know, like, how Bill really could have gone on without Frank, though. Because now he's back to having no one. And living each day. And just, like, having reminders. Yeah.
Also,
because we go from
a
scene where he was shot and, like, was dying. And then we flash forward, and you would expect him to be the one, like, not doing well. And then it's Frank.
Yeah. Oh, man, I just remember...
I thought that was just interesting how they did that, too.
That's so funny you say that, too, because I'm just remembering, like, the scene after that when they come out with one in the wheelchair and the other one's pushing him. Mm-hmm. I thought at first the angling was so well done because I thought that was Bill in the wheelchair at first.
Yeah, they definitely make you think it's him. Because I believe he's shot in the leg, too. So you're like, oh, maybe he can't walk.
Yeah, I was like, oh, wait a minute. Like, that was so well angled. Like, they did it on purpose, I'm sure.
They had to. They're very, like, purposeful in the way that they do this.
Very intentional, for sure. Yeah. Also, the fact that Bill and Frank dying not at the hands of cordyceps, like...
Yes, that like, was unique to the world.
It's kind of like, yeah, the fact that at least they were able to go on their own terms and not due to this infection was crazy. The fact that they literally grew old together, too.
Yes.
What was it like? Was it 30, 20-ish years that they were together? So
something like that.
Yeah, long time.
Yeah, a really long time. And that's the other reason I really love this episode, because to your point, their story is unique in the fact that minus the Raiders, minus the meeting Joel and Tess and their operation with them, like they just lived a kind of a normal little life, and they got to be old together and go out of this world, like to your point, independent of the apocalypse, basically. What ended up ending their lives was Frank was dying of a disease we have now. It had nothing to do with that. It was just like that was going to be his fate regardless of the apocalypse. Like he was going to succumb to this disease one way or another. But then he got this romantic like ending,
But it's kind of perfect for them because it goes with the way they were living too, because they were living like there was no apocalypse.
Yeah.
With the way like they were eating, and they were actually able to have a life together. And so this was just like kind of the perfect ending for them. I mean, you don't get to choose in real life, but...
No. Well,
But
Dying with
it's
dignity.
not, again, the apocalypse is
Yes.
not the reason why, and it's not invading their lives at the very end.
Yeah. So to go back to like Bill's statement, I'm satisfied, my purpose was you. I love this from Bill too, because it ties him to Joel a little bit, because there's obviously similarities between the two of them. There's obviously differences, especially when they meet. They're both the hard asses and like that kind of stuff. But this mentality is something that the two of them share, because later when Ellie and Joel show up and get the letter, Bill explains in the letter that he chose one person to protect, and protecting that purpose was his purpose for living. And it almost like, and it like this, the camera stays on Pedro for a minute, because it's almost like igniting something deep in Joel, because that was him with his daughter, right? Who passed away. And then Joel was like, what's the point of living? And then Ellie comes along. And it's almost like he's that, hearing that from Bill kind of reignites that instinct that he has, that that was his purpose, and maybe he can have a new purpose. And it really is going to foreshadow what Joel's going to do later when his purpose comes to it, is seemingly coming to an end, right? So I like that it's here in episode 3. Like, they do a good job of like sprinkling these things in there to be like, don't forget this. This is a very human thing, wanting to have a purpose. And that comes up over and over and over again, like with a lot of characters. But I think that was something that really linked Joel and Bill. And the tragedy is that like Bill and his purpose lived a full life outside of the apocalypse, basically. But like, that's not going to be Joel's case. And last thing I want to say about this episode was all the little attention to details that was really cute. So one thing that I loved about this episode was the meal. So when Bill first takes in Frank, the meal that he makes him, down to the wine, is the exact same meal Bill makes for their last meal. Like, it's the exact same. Like, he recreates their first meal together, including the bottle of wine. That's why, like, when Frank sees it, he starts laughing, because that was their first meal together, which is what a romantic Bill was. Like, I didn't see that coming, to be honest with you. And then the song. So when the song they were playing at the piano the day they first met, long time, is the same song playing in the radio when Joel and Ellie are driving away. And I do love the shot of like that song is playing, they're driving away, and then we pan and we see the open window, because that's implying that that's Bill and Frank's room. And we don't see them, we just see it through the open window, which is almost like their perspective, that like their journey's gone, but like they made it possible for like Joel and Ellie to go on. And I love that. That was a good choice.
That's a great catch too, with the music.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize that. Oh, I mean, everything is just so well done.
I love when TV shows use music for anything, honestly. Like when they use it as part of their creative process, like
yes,
to put things together. Just so good.
When it's not there just to be there.
Yeah.
Filling the silence.
Yeah, I feel like they use music a lot. Not just like, all right, callback music to another generation, and then making the point to be like, because when they get in the car, Ellie's like, I don't know what this is. Because you're always reinforcing that she's a post-apocalyptic baby. She doesn't know a lot of the things that Joel knows. But I do love that like music is something they bond over, like later when like Joel's like, oh, I'll teach you how to play guitar. Like, so music is a part of the story. Regardless, which I thought was really good.
I do love like the little things that they throw in to like remind you, like, oh, the life is very different post-apocalyptic, and there's kids now that this is all they know.
Correct.
Especially when unless you have more about Bill and Frank.
No, I'm done with Bill and Frank.
But there's a moment with Ellie and Riley in episode 7 where they have the pun book, and the pun was like screenshots, and they're like, I don't know what that is, and Ellie goes, I don't either. And it's just something so simple that, again, we take for granted right now. Like, everyone knows what a screenshot is. I mean, unless you're the older generation and have never used a computer.
Yeah,
That's something so simple that you do so often that it's insane that these kids don't know.
But like, yeah, that's why you have to like think of like the context. The context matters. That's why they're like, because why would you know what? Nobody has a computer.
Yeah.
Like a screen. What's a screen in general?
And then shot. Like, is someone shooting?
That's
a
all
screen?
that's what they would know. Yeah, they know the word shot. It's really sad when you really think about what these kids know and don't know. Yeah.
But overall, that whole episode is one of my favorites as well.
So speaking of the other gay stuff, so there is episode 7, the Ellie and Riley episode. I will say, I loved having a glimpse into Ellie's life before meeting Joel. It took a while to for us to get there because I feel like season 1 is primarily Joel's story. Like he's like probably the main protagonist, and then you have Ellie, who's eventually going to become the main protagonist, but like she's not yet. So we kind of like get a delay into her background, whereas we start with Joel's background because Joel existed before the pandemic, after the pandemic, that kind of stuff. So I liked seeing who she was. And it was another type of one of those slice of life episodes, which I loved, like the Bill and Frank story. And to me, this image of this story of like her in the Fedra compound and what life was like for her, and how she found escapism. For me, that helped really contextualize why Ellie is such a hard ass all the time, why she's swearing constantly, why she's constantly trying to rebel against stuff. Because through Riley and Ellie, you see that like both of they're kids. First of all, they are children, and they are both orphans, and they grew up in a world that's just constant violence, even in the Fedra compound that's supposed to be, quote, protecting everybody. They're just every day is violence, and like that's all they know, right? And like for me, it was really sad when Riley and Ellie are talking about they find the dead body and then steal the liquor from the dead body, which is so gross, but like I get it. It's the apocalypse. And they're like, "Oh, is that the first dead body you've ever seen?" And Riley's like, "No, my parents." Like wow, like this is a kid. She's a child now, so she was presumably much younger, and like seeing your dead parents, that's your first dead body. Like that is insane. Like that's just like the horror of this scenario. Like it's easy to be like, "Oh, this is cute," and like look at them having fun, but like take a step back and be like, this is their life. Their life is horrific, like when you really think about it. And like it's amazing that as kids, they find moments to just be kids despite this scenario that they're in that's just grim, really. Like poor Riley.
Going off of like Riley's having to see that, they have this moment where Riley talks about how even though they're both orphans, Riley knows what it's like to have a family and be wanted by people, where Ellie has never gotten that. And Riley's just searching for that feeling again. And it's just so sad how Ellie's never had that feeling. Like she's never felt like she truly belonged and someone wanted her. She's never felt that familial love. And it just, poor baby. She needs love in her life, which I'm glad she eventually finds with Joel.
Yeah. Especially because I don't think Ellie ever finds out like what actually happened to her mom, from what I assume.
So yeah.
She never
So
assumes
sad.
or never finds out like the fact that Marlene literally had to kill her mom right after Ellie was born. It's like she doesn't know any of that connection to Marlene at all. Like from what it sounds like, Marlene's kind of just like their guardian, if you will, like their caretaker. But also Marlene, I think Ellie finds out Marlene is part of the Fireflies in this episode, if I remember right.
Yeah, because Riley's like, "Marlene, who's Marlene?" She's like, "Marlene is the." Never mind. I don't think she gets the connection. She just finds out she's part of the Fireflies. That quick conversation.
Ellie doesn't. That's right. Ellie doesn't know Marlene yet. That's right.
No, she doesn't.
Oh.
Which is amazing.
Yeah, because it's in the first episode that Marlene tells her who she is.
Right.
Or is it second episode? It might be second.
But yeah. Like in the beginning of the season, like that's the present day. That's so. Oh my god.
So like for Marlene, that means that Marlene was just like in the shadows purposely from Ellie. hovering over her this whole time, and Ellie didn't realize she had this guardian the whole time that was looking out for her
Oh my
in the
god.
only way she could in this fucked up scenario they're in.
Ellie's always been like alone,
Yeah,
which
or
is
felt
crazy.
alone. Yeah,
So that's the
yeah.
thing that she's always been like, she's always so scared of.
Well,
Ugh.
again, this contextualizes her abandonment issues, because then here comes Riley, and Riley's like, I'm leaving you. I'm choosing to leave you. That's what Ellie hears. Ellie doesn't hear the rest of it at first. She's just like, you're choosing to leave me just like everybody else. So she gets super triggered. And like, that's kind of like this defining thing for Ellie, where like everybody she loves ultimately leaves her by choice, which was Riley joining the Fireflies, or not by choice because death, like her mother, who knows who her dad was, and then like Marlene, who was taken out later, who was like watching over her in her own way. And so it's just like that kid internalized all of that. And it just gets really triggered in this episode when Riley's like, I'm choosing to leave for me. And it's like, she's just like, wow, wow.
Yeah, which is then like when Joel like tries to tell Tommy you need to be the one to take her. She's like, no, because everybody fucking leaves me. You're not gonna do it to me. Don't you dare. Because you and I being separated is not going to be good for both of us like you think it is. It's actually going to make things worse for me. So, poor Ellie. Jeez.
Poor
Yeah,
Ellie, but can we?
Yeah, go ahead, sorry.
No, I was just gonna like go to the happy part of the
Wait.
episode.
I just want to add one
But
thing to what Elena say. So like, also with that moment, I think not only is she just like, she has abandonment issues, but then it's like the trust thing too, because if she's really had nobody, she really doesn't have anybody she can trust. And like in the scene in this episode with Riley, you can see that she trusts Riley because she tells her things that are like, she tries to do the thing where she lies, and then she like, because that's the reflex, that's her defense mechanism, to be like snarky and lie about stuff. But then she does take a step back and like open up and tell Riley real things. She does the same thing with Joel. Like you just see it throughout the course of the show where like she's an asshole, like because there's defense mechanisms, and then she lies, but then eventually she gets to the point where she gets real with Joel because she learns she can trust Joel. So then at that point she trusts him, and then he's like, no, go with my brother. I think that was the culmination of like, finally I can trust somebody. It's like this kid probably had like nobody she could trust other than like the Fedra authority figures. I'm like, you can't fucking trust those people either. Like, it's just awful. Like to be a kid and like have nobody you could trust, and just poor Ellie. Poor Ellie.
yeah, she's literally lying to survive.
Yeah, exactly. That's her survival mechanism. Cause like you're a kid, you have no power. Like she doesn't have weapons. Like that's all she got. She got her little mouth, and then she can like beat up other kids. Like that's kind of all she's got.
Poor Ellie.
Poor Ellie. But all right, let's to Caitlin's point, let's go to the cute part. So their mall date was really, really, really cute.
Yeah, I mean, I just loved getting to see Ellie be a kid, and like the amazement through a kid's eyes, experiencing all these things for the first time, and again seeing things that like we take for granted in our lives, like Ellie seeing an escalator for the first time was the cutest thing ever, of her being like, I'm going down, now I'm going up, I'm not going anywhere now. And it was just the cutest thing, and you just saw no worries on her. And this is before Riley tells her that she's leaving. So of course, like that's not in the back of her mind. She's just being, and you see that Riley is a type of safe space for her because she doesn't have to worry about lying or having her guard up. She can just be, and throughout each of these wonders of the mall that Riley has set up for her, that she has to add, because everything is amazing to Ellie because she doesn't get to see much. There is not much in this world that's happy. I mean, it's an apocalypse. So I loved getting her to experiencing these things that are so simple and normal for us. And just having that reminder as a viewer to not take these little things for granted and just see the amazement through like a child's eyes again. It was beautiful.
I do love how thoughtful Riley was with this, where it was very clear that like she really personalized this experience for Ellie. So it goes to show how well Riley knows her. They're not just like fleeting acquaintances. Like she clearly knows her extremely well. That like this was like she's like, oh, I saved the best for last. I think you're gonna like the best. It's really cute. I love that because we don't get a ton of them together. It's just like implied through how Riley did this. And throughout, and then okay, so they're set up that they're best friends and they were roommates or like whatever. Which okay,
Oh my
way
god,
to
they were roommates.
code that. Yeah, they were roommates, right? And then it's clear that they are quote roommates because I love the little moments where it's really clear that Ellie has feelings for her best friend. Why is Ellie always falling for her best friends? What a lesbian! My God,
She's such a demisexual lesbian, guys. Like, god damn
right?
it.
Seriously, she really is.
That's
So
very
I love
true.
that they made a point to have like those little like when they walk by the lingerie shop and then Riley's like, I can't even picture you wearing this, which valid because like Ellie's not the type, but like I like Ellie gets subconscious when she hears that, and I love the moment where she's just like trying to fix her hair in the mirror. It's really clear that she's like having feelings and doesn't know what to do, and it's just like the whole thing was like a mall date with cute like little teenagers, and this is apocalypse aside, this is shit teenagers would be doing in the mall, right? Like just being like when your crush isn't looking, like fixing your hair, and then there's all these like lingering glances, like both of them do, which is like it became this like typical teenage first love little date thing, which was really cute. And like as a viewer, it takes you out of the apocalypse for a minute. But then I love in the story, they're like, remember they're in the fucking apocalypse, because you can't forget that. You never can put your guard down. And that's like, unfortunately, their reality that like they can never really put their guards down ever because they're in a life or death situation all the time. And right now they're not following the rules. So like, there's also that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I finally watched like behind the scenes of The Last of Us, and I just wanted to mention that this is usually Elena's territory, but that this mall was supposed to be torn down in general, and so they were able to just like destroy things and make it literally
that's
how
awesome.
they want.
That's
And
really
the carousel
cool.
was not there. They had to add that.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's so cool though, man.
Yeah, that's really cool. So they were legit in an abandoned mall.
Yes.
Nice.
That's really fucking creepy, actually.
It's creepy, but I kind of I'm saying like I kind of want to like see it. Malls like are very much abandoned in some areas now.
Yeah.
I believe there's like one within an hour of me. That's like everything except one store is open right now.
That's wild.
It's insane.
Ugh.
And it's not even the apocalypse.
I know.
Luckily, we don't have to worry about cordyceps.
Not yet.
Infected people. Not yet.
Who knows? Okay, so then, all right, so the ultimate reason we're here is because Riley's leaving to join the Fireflies, and then the story transitioned to like this, like, okay, so what is really dividing Riley and Ellie at this point? Is it a difference of ideology? Is that the thing that's really breaking them apart? Because that's how it's kind of centered, right? That Riley's a Firefly, and then Ellie is she's in the Fedra compound because like there's no other option for orphans, honestly. That's just what happens. And so I like in the beginning where Riley tells her I joined the Fireflies, Ellie just gives her crap nonstop about all of this. And if you really listen to what Ellie is saying, like everything she's saying negative about the Firefly is like Fedra propaganda that she's like spouting. Because she grew up in a Fedra compound. That's literally all she knows. She knows nothing else other than Fedra, what Fedra tells her, what she sees through Fedra. She's trapped in this walled city. So all of her talking points are...
There's no other resources for her to like learn about other things.
No. So it's just pure propaganda. And then you have Riley who like defected found some fireflies. And then when she's defending the fireflies, she's spouting firefly propaganda because, to your point, there's no other resource except the fireflies. So then if you go to the fireflies, the other quote side of the story is what they are telling you, right? So to me, this was just a perfect demonstration of like indoctrinating children. Like the children are just getting indoctrinated into the ideologies of these adults because there are two options at this point. It's Fedra, fireflies, or it's like die is option 3, basically, on your own, because nobody can survive on their own, especially a kid. So to me, it's almost like realizing that I was like, okay, so like what's dividing Riley and Ellie at this point isn't actually a difference of ideology. Like Riley's not just like, I want to save the world and blah, blah, blah. It's like, I think what really drew them apart is the exact same thing that motivates Ellie to seek the fireflies on her own in the present timeline, which is a sense of purpose. Because these kids are growing up in this chaotic world that seems completely meaningless. Like the whole point is don't die. Like that's it. That's it. Just don't die, which really is the main, that's part of life. Don't die. But it seems like there's no joy really outside of that. It's just you're taking orders from people. You're trapped no matter what because that's how you survive. And so these kids are just seeking some kind of purpose. And it really like became apparent to me when Riley was explaining like why she fled Fedra, because like Ellie didn't know. She just like her friend was missing one day. And basically she was like, I'm aging out of like the kiddie program and I'm going to be seen as an adult. And they gave me my first station, which was to guard sewer duty. Right. And she says, that's what they think of me. Meaning like, she has no purpose. She felt purposeless. She's like, this is the meaning of my life. This cannot be the meaning of my life. And she has this like identity crisis and runs away and finds Marlene. And then Marlene finds this vulnerable kid who has no options and gave her a sense of purpose. And like, that's how she recruits people into the Fireflies. I'm not saying the Fireflies are malevolent. I'm not saying Fedra really is either. It's just like, they both have different ideologies and ways of going about things. And they are indoctrinating children into their groups. And it's like these kids are really primed for that because they have nothing else or they feel like they have nothing else. And so hence Riley being like, I feel they chose me, right? It's that thing, like I have nothing. And then here's like a quote family reaching out to me. And it's like, they're a paramilitary group looking for bodies. Like, you know what I mean? Like as an adult, you can see that. But as a kid, it's like, she chose me. She wanted me versus like Fedra was going to just like make me watch the sewers. Right. And, yeah. It's really fucking sad because a lot of the communities here are just like they don't see you as people. It's like we're in the survival thing together where we all got to just like do functions and that's it. It's impersonal, even though like we're grouped together. You know what I mean? That's the sense of like the Fedra compounds. And I got that sense a lot through watching Joel, where it's just like, he's like, just give me work. Just give me, and nobody cares. They're like, whatever. Nobody cares about each other. They're just like keeping the peace and like not killing each other, but like everyone's miserable. Just like being, rats in this maze that they're trapped in. Like there is no sense of like actual community versus like when you go to Jackson and everybody knows each other and because it's communism versus capitalism versus authoritarianism, basically. It's different. It's more like humane because everybody's invested and like a part of that community in a more personal sense than like the Fedra paramilitary groups.
That's a good distinction between the two communities because the one's an actual community, the other one is just do as I say.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's authoritarianism. And yeah, exactly. But like I understand like why Fedra ended up becoming what it was, because in a moment of chaos, they're the ones organized to do it. And I do love through like the first episode with Sarah, like she doesn't really know what's going on. Perfect point of view character for that. Where like she's just walking about her day life and you just see military jets going and you don't even know what's going on yet. And it's like, but they already knew. The military knew. That's why they were on the ground already. Like they were organized before anybody else. So like in times of chaos, they're the perfect ones to be like order. And like they created order to calm the situation. And then that's it. They just stayed in control. They're like, well, we can keep these people from killing each other and then keep the zombies out. And like, that's it. And that kind of just became life. And it's like, follow the rules or die. And that's how you got that compound. And then Jackson is like the anomaly because you had to have people who are willing to do that. And that's like harder to get people to willingly do this versus just being like hierarchy, control. People are already used to hierarchy, control. So then like it's not hard to institute that. This is what I mean. I like the little communities because it just shows you how humans think and how like there's not one way to like survive this, but control and hierarchy seems to be the dominant way to do it because you have all these paramilitary groups and that's the same structure. It's just their purpose is different and their ideology is a little bit different, but the structure is the same versus Jackson's the communism, which is like everybody has a say. And we just trade. Nobody owns anything. There's no ownership. There's no money. It's just everybody's in this together and invested in it together, and that's kind of it. So it's really interesting. And I love, the stereotypes too, where Tommy's like, we're not communists. And his wife's like, no, we're literally a commune. This is literally communism. This is
and then
what
you
it
see
is.
him literally thinking, like, what?
Well, because he has to undo all the American propaganda from the right that's like, communism's evil. And it's like, this is literally what communism actually is, because most Americans, because of propaganda, don't actually know what that word means. And so I love that they put this in the show to be like, it's literally this. This is literally a commune.
That was also really just so funny.
Was
yeah.
Was it bad? Yeah, I love that. I love that moment so much because, like, more people need to hear that. That's what communism actually is. Anyway.
And they're thriving over there, man.
Exactly. It's not an evil thing.
And with that, we pause for some shout outs for our Chaos Crew members over on Patreon.
Woo! Speaking of not evil. Patreon.
Definitely
Yay!
not. Our Chaos Crew members on the Big Gay Ride or Die tier and above are moving forward leading. Hold on real quick. A Mix Monzo _ Multi, Natalia, Danny, Michelle G, Ariel W, Leona, Virgipichin, Cassie M, Here For It, Jill L, Regina B, Monet F, Jasmine O, and Nancy D. Woo!
There are so many
record
of you.
for the most Ride or Die tier and above members yet. And our featured Big Gay supported members for this episode are Whatever, KN,
Love it,
and Ju A.
Is KN
Thank you.
Kunung?
That's what I was thinking.
I hope
too.
so.
It's literally just the letters KN. Whoever you are, thank you.
Yes.
And to everyone who's part of the Chaos Crew, we see you, we love you, we appreciate you. Anyone, even if you're just watching, listening to this, just know that we see you as well. If you're not on Patreon, it's okay. You don't have to be. Again, like Theora always says, in this economy, that's not everyone's able to, and we totally understand that. When you comment and review, we see you as well. We love you. Just by watching and listening, you're supporting us. If you want to connect with us further, come join our Discord where you can chat with us directly and we'll get to know each other even more. And that's free to join. So it's a good time over there. And there's a lot of people who love queer media. All different media is being talked about over there. So there's someone to talk to about everything. It's a good time.
Yeah. Come on over. Be our friends.
Come on over, baby. All right.
Now that we've talked about all the gay stuff, let's get into the not gay stuff that we absolutely love about this show. Because there's so much. Like, season 1 is a masterpiece, honestly.
Oh my god. First of all, the opening scene was added to the series. It was a fantastic addition to the series.
I loved it.
The opening scene, it's like they're on a talk show and there is like an actual, I don't remember if he was a what's that word, epidemiologist.
Yeah, it's like in the 1970s, I think, and there's 2 epidemiologists being interviewed.
Yes,
about what's the next pandemic gonna be, basically.
Yeah, this whole thing about cordyceps, and they say something about like the epidemiologist basically insinuates like this is going to destroy us if we don't do something about it. And they also mentioned, like you had said earlier, like they mentioned about how climate change and things getting warmer is going to make it worse, which, well, so it's kind of like really good foreshadowing.
We are currently being warned about that.
Yeah. I wonder
We've
why.
been warned about that.
Yeah. Right. Everything's like, why is this happening now? Climate change, man. Like literally just that's it. But yeah,
It's the answer to everything.
it was such an excellent addition, especially because this was released when we were still kind of not like in the peak of COVID, but like we were still like everybody was having to get like their vaccines, people were still getting really, really sick. We were still like pretty significantly into it still.
Yeah.
When this was released. So very, very relevant. Again, aged unfortunately very well. So but it's a very well
Yeah.
done scene. So
I
especially
want
because you could see like the audience wasn't saying anything, but like they would laugh at some of the jokes, and then as the epidemiologists were like speaking about like this is gonna get worse, just like like you could just see like the horror on their faces, like the unease of like, oh, um, that's scary.
You
Yeah.
don't like the truth, do you?
Well, I like a couple of things about this. First, the realism of the scientists, the experts being like, this is what's going to happen, and then humans doing nothing about it.
Yeah.
Because that's where we're at now.
And
that's
the host,
exactly how this
and the host trying to kind of minimize it a little bit, just
Yeah.
like, well, blah, blah, this isn't going to be this bad, right?
Right.
It's like, no, it
Right.
is.
Like, no, it is. Yeah, if there was a killer fungus, we would be fucked. Like, honestly, like I said, even now, it's really difficult to treat fungal infections, so we would absolutely be fucked.
Especially if it was airborne, like it is. Like it
Yeah,
was.
there are fungi that are airborne.
Yeah.
For sure.
That's
Like
bad.
pneumocystis and things like that. And yeah, it would be very, very bad. The other thing I loved about the scene that was actually this was real. Okay, is when in that interview. So the first person that was talking when asked the question, what's the next pandemic, was like, oh, a virus, because viruses airborne and they spread, blah, blah, blah. Which in COVID, right? So like I said, I'm an infectious disease expert. And in 2019, when I was doing my I was doing my residency in infectious diseases, I was at a conference called ID Week, which is just about, infectious diseases. And I was in a panel, I was listening to a panel that was literally talking about this. What's the next pandemic in 2019? And the epidemiologist up there was like, oh, it's going to be a virus. And literally he like described COVID. And then 6 months later, we were in the COVID pandemic, and I was like, God damn it. Like, I was literally sitting there going like, no, it's going to be this. This is the next pandemic. It's going to happen. It's going to be this kind of virus, blah, blah, blah. And it was just, there's the epidemiologist saying the same thing in the 70s, because like they're the prime, anyway, I was just like, that is actually real, because I actually had that happen right before the pandemic happened. And I was like, damn, that guy called it, unfortunately. Yeah, we've done nothing. We've known about COVID, we've known about coronaviruses for a really long time and have done nothing. So like, this is real, and we're like, yeah, whatever. And then we get the inciting event, and now everybody suddenly is like, oh crap, we got to deal with it now because it's happening. But we've known about this for a very long time. So that's unfortunately real. So yeah. So what I love about the series is the realism. So first of all,
Also, what makes it scary.
It makes it really terrifying, because this is a plausible zombie apocalypse scenario. And I already talked about like the fungal infections being hard to treat. I just love the addition of the mycologist. When it was first of all, the realism of who's affected first. Poor people. Okay, so that's who's affected first. The poor people, the people who harvest the wheat where the fungus grows, that kind of stuff, they're affected first. And then I love that organization, that government was smart enough to be like, get the expert. They pull in the mycologist, who's like, I love she's at lunch, she's like, am I being arrested? What the fuck? I was just eating. And they're like, no, it just shh. And they had to get her to like the lab. And the moment after she examines the body and she's sitting in the room, they give her tea, and the military guy is like, all right, what do we do? You just see her put together what the fuck is happening. And it just broke me, because that moment is so real, because it's like the expert who knows the outcome before anybody else then has to communicate that, because that happens so often with like doctors, where like we know the outcome is not good and then have to communicate that. And it's just, that was that moment that's so real to so many like doctors. And I just love at the end where she's like, bomb this place. Like, there's literally nothing we can do. Bomb it. And then she's like, can you take me home? I just want to be with my family at the end. Like to be that person and be like, we're fucked. Like, we're fucked. Like, kill us all. Like, we're all fucked. Like, that moment, I
That
love that
scene
moment.
was heartbreaking because you see her like shaking
Yeah.
with the cup as well. And like
She
that just
put
it
it all
adds to
together.
like how real this is.
Yeah, it's just really shitty to be the expert and be like, fuck. And put it together before anybody. Because he's still hopeful. He's like, what can we do? Can we do this? And she's like, we're all fucked. We're gonna die. Like, damn. Other thing I love in general about the show is that it depicted people naturally aging, especially women. And I first noticed this with like Marlene and Tess, right? Because they're women in their like 40s and 50s. And I love that like makeup, costume, all the makeup, I guess hair and makeup, purposely put like streaks of gray in their hair. Because that is what women in their 40s and 50s naturally look like. And often Hollywood and media erases that from women of that age. So, and it's even more realistic that in a fucking apocalypse, women aren't dyeing their hair. You don't have resources
Yeah.
for that. Like, that's insane. So I like that they showed women naturally aging because, like, that's real life. Like, men are allowed to naturally age on screen, but not women. Women must always have no grays and stuff like that. So I was like, yay, finally a show that's like, this is what women in their 40s look like. Like, it's not a big deal. Like, I love that.
Yeah, they look great too.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's not a bad thing. It's like, again, it's like you made it to that age. That is something that used to be celebrated, but now it's like, wow, your life's over. You're 30. Like, in a survivalistic world, like getting to your 40s and 50s is a huge accomplishment. It meant that you survived all this shit. Like, you know what I mean? It should be celebrated.
Also, to like what you said, how usually shows erase like the gray hair. It's the media's way of like subconsciously telling us that, oh, gray hair is bad.
Yes.
You should not have it. You should always be dyeing your hair. So it's just, it is nice to see that, well, first of all, that it's more plausible because again, they're not dyeing their hair. Who's got time for that? Who has dye anymore either?
Right. It's like, well, because like in media, it's like youth is prized. Youth is sexy. Like youth sells. So women are not allowed to look old because nobody wants to fuck old people. So like that's what it is in like the media. So it's a skewed thing of like never seeing people naturally age. So I like kudos for the realism of being like people fucking have gray hair like in real life. Like it's fine. It
Which
doesn't
is
make them less capable of kicking your ass. Like
the dumb duality of you aren't allowed to look old, but you're also not allowed to act childish.
yes. Oh my
Oh,
god.
society.
Seriously. Yeah,
You're not
it's
allowed to like this
bullshit.
thing because it's for kids or whatever.
Right.
But you
But the fact
also
that
can't
we
look
have
like you're
where
70.
Right.
and
It's
like they're like,
ridiculous.
you're not allowed. Like why is someone not allowed just because society says that?
Exactly.
It's
And it's
ridiculous.
not hurting
So-
anybody, whatever.
Right, exactly. I love that. And then the other thing, speaking of like nature, I love the moments where we just get to see nature is healing while the
Yeah.
humans are confined and or their numbers are dwindling. Like we just see like a pack of like giraffes chilling. You know what I mean? Because like that was
Yeah.
real. Remember during the COVID pandemic where like people were actually locked down and then like nature was healing in the brief moments where like, oh look, the skies are finally clear and like, oh look, the animals have come out and they're exploring. Like that happened. We watched that happen. So like I love that moment of being like, yeah, this would happen. The animals would just get back to living their lives without us fucking shit up constantly for them. So I love that. It was nice little rest moments. Okay, and then back to production. Okay, so one of my favorite things, especially in episode 1, was and you can comment on this, Elena, but I felt like they purposefully did a lot with the filming to make it feel like you were actually in a video game. Because if you've played video games, there's something about like you are living through that character and you connect with them in a way that's different, and it's like you're not going to see anything outside of the point of view of the character because you're them, right? And like the filming in a video game is designed that way. You don't see it if they don't see it, kind of thing. And one of my favorite moments of this is in the first episode where all the shit goes down and Joel and Tommy go to pick up Sarah and they get in the truck and they're like, let's go. The way the camera is like, you can only see outside of like the, I don't know, the front mirror of the car, like through the glass. And it's like, that's what the characters are saying. You only see that. You see nothing else. To me, that felt like you were driving in the car in a video game. Like, it felt like that angle. You know what I mean? It was so great.
They had to rig it, and there was the driver on top. Elaine, if you want to continue, I don't know if you
that makes
know
my
more
heart
about that.
happy that you picked up on that, because no, that was literally what they did on purpose.
Yes.
I don't know if you guys have ever seen clips from the game, but they basically like they did whatever they could to perfectly imitate. Like, the only thing that's different is they like flipped. So like there's the part where there's like a person who says like, wait, stop. There's a person who the house is on fire. All of that has been flipped to the opposite side. There was a choice that they made with that, and I don't remember like the purpose that they had that, but they did make a purpose, like an actual genuine artistic decision of like, this probably fits here better. But it was just like they made that on purpose to be like that angle. It's almost exactly like it was in the game, so it was like meant to be like a good nod to like, hey, you played the game, you know what's happening right now. We know you're watching, and we know you're happy about this.
I just love it. It's so good, especially like the car scene, really in particular, because like it's one of those things where like they're talking, but you don't see their mouths moving. It's very video game, because like the characters are doing their thing. So like you hear voices, but you don't see anybody's mouth moving, because you're the one driving the car. And it really felt like that immersive, like video game thing, even though you're watching, not controlling. I was like, ooh,
yeah, it's very centered on Sarah. Well, so in the opening part of the game, you play as Sarah. So
I didn't know that. That's interesting.
Yeah, you control Sarah through the whole opening of the game.
Okay, that makes sense why we start with her.
Yeah.
I liked starting with her because like she's just a kid walking through life, and then like just all these things are happening, so she would be a character that would like know the least. So I thought it was a clever way to introduce the world as it's going to hell. Versus like being Joel would have been dumb. He's at a construction site all day. Like nothing would have you'd have learned nothing narratively from him.
Also, just like Sarah is such a great character, and it just makes you fall in love with her so quickly, only for your heart to be fucking shattered. Like
in the first episode, so you know where the show is heading.
Yeah, and literally in the game, it's like you have this character in your hands for like an hour, and then they break your fucking heart.
Yeah, that's rough.
It's horrible.
As the video game player to be like, that's my character. Oh no, it's not. Oh shit. Like, don't get attached to your own character. Yeah.
I know. My favorite part is they kept it in from the game, but Sarah like gets Joel to watch, and Joel's like, where'd you get this? And she goes, drugs. I sell hard drugs. And he's like, good, you can start paying the bills. That's word from the game, and it made my heart so happy. It's like one of my favorite lines between them. It's such a dad and daughter thing.
He's a very good dad.
Mm-hmm. I know, and it sets it up so you like really like Joel's character, because you see him being a dad to this, first of all, very likable character. And then you have to watch him lose this daughter. So you already know like the pain. Oh my god, the pain.
Oh my god.
That he's going through. So yeesh.
Yeah, masterclass in acting at the scene where like Joel's got Sarah's body in his arms, and it's just the emotions. Pedropascal is such a fucking beautiful actor, I swear to God. He emotes so well.
When they had announced his casting for this, I was like, because, you know, in my mind, I had Troy Baker, because Troy Baker was the voice actor for the game. And I was just thinking, he's nothing like Troy Baker, which obviously, like, isn't a bad thing necessarily. Like, it's good if an actor has range. And it's never like, typecasting obviously shouldn't be a thing with acting. So,
agreed.
And that was me, like, immediately typecasting Pedro from watching him in Mandalorian and being like, I've never would have thought Pedro would be. I mean, I'm curious to see. And sure enough, I was like, no, that was a good choice.
Very good choice. He's excellent.
Casting knows what they're doing.
Yeah, Pedro's got range, so he did great.
He does. Yeah, he was a great choice for Joel.
Yeah, but yeah, I do love that they purposely kept a lot of the story, like they kept a lot of the story like exactly the same as the game in the first season. They kept a lot of the characters, like they introduced a couple new characters like to help add a layer to the story, but they really made sure, like for those who loved the game so much. It's like, we know you're watching and we want you to be happy too. So that made my heart very happy.
No, I think that's important because like that's the base you're building this on, and
Mhm.
like that is the source material. And the games were so successful that not handling it that way seems crazy to me in an adaptation. But
Yeah. I mean, we're learning more and more, keeping on the original creators for certain things. Like, there's always
yeah,
I feel like there's this argument with like keeping on the OG creators of something from the source material can like limit what you can do, but it's like, isn't that like, for some people that's kind of the point of an adaptation? Like, depending on what angle you're going for with an adaptation, it's like, if you want to like be true to the source material, why not? We saw it with Heartstopper. We saw
also,
it like with
yeah,
we've seen it with the new Percy Jackson series. Rick Riordan is a lot more involved in the new Percy Jackson series and is a lot closer
yes.
to the books, and any creative liberties that they're taking, he is part of, and he says, "Yeah, let's do it."
Especially if you watch like the behind the scenes stuff, you see how much they wanted to expand the world themselves too, because they were like,
Yeah.
well, we wouldn't be able to do this in the game, but we can do that now because we have the time to, and it's not just action based. Because the
Mhm.
game is action, with the show, we have time to rest and like really explore these narratives.
Yeah,
So it
agreed.
helps when the creator wants to also like expand on elements that they were, I guess, like pigeonholed, like not able to
Kind of, yeah,
expand
yeah,
on
yeah,
in
for
the
sure.
original
Mhm.
media.
Yeah, and like, why wouldn't you want to involve the creators, cuz that's their story that these people love so much.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah,
And
they
it's
were
also just
successful.
respectful, I feel like.
yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, and that's the interesting part of the medium in which the art is being told is going to either give you new liberties or, like to your point, restrict what you can do. Because to your point, in a video game, it's a quest based. You got to go on the quest and complete the quest, and you can't have times to be like, let's show Bill and Life and Frank's romance for 90 minutes. Like you can't do that in a video game because like what's the quest? So like you're right. I like that the
Yeah.
creators were like, I wanted a world build here, but couldn't because it doesn't fit Joel and Ellie's journey and their questing. So
Yeah.
let's do it now, which is
And
great.
and to involve video game mechanics. That's the other thing, is like,
Yes.
where would you
Yeah.
have involved mechanics of like having to navigate through Bill and Frank's world, like that
Right.
warrants having a whole section of a game there. I mean, obviously it could add upon that, but their story that they have is beautifully done, and it doesn't need a game to it.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So that's the fun part of like, I would feel like as the original creator of being able to like, ooh, let's do this thing we wanted to do, but we couldn't. Anyway, so that's really cool. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah.
Um, Last thing I just want to say about episode 1, I really loved episode 1. I thought it was a masterpiece in storytelling. And especially like I love that it was Sarah, it was the main point of view character. And I love all the subtle hints going on that the world is changing, but the characters are all so engrossed in their day-to-day lives that they miss everything. Like, for example, when they're at the breakfast table, like there's no pancake mix, which was a good ends up saving Joel's life because they didn't have any of the wheat products that had the fungus in it. So every time he was like, "Oh yeah, I keep forgetting to get pancake mix," because he's busy with life, but that ends up saving his life. And then he's like, "Oh, I forgot to get the cake." Again, that has flour that's tainted. So like the fact that he kept forgetting these things actually saved them and saved him and Tommy. So like that's one thing that gets missed real fast. And then I love when she goes to school and you see like the kid twitching. That kid's probably had cereal for breakfast and is now infected. And it's just like, that's weird. And they hear the radio that like the stuff that's going on the other side of the world. And they're like, I don't even know where that country is because Americans. But like they're talking about how
Yes.
they like bombed their own city because like they're infected. And everyone's like, I don't even know where that is. Whatever. I got to go to work. And then when we go to the next door neighbor and the after Meemaw fucking dies of cordyceps poison or whatever, the dog starts being like, what the fuck is this? And then she's like, that's weird. The dog's being weird. And just so there's all these like things going on that are like, and there's military planes, and we're just like, yeah, I'm in America, I guess. But it's like when you put it all together, you're like, something bad is happening. But like, you just miss it because you're just like, I gotta go see my neighbor. I gotta go get this for dad. And you just get so lost in just the mundane parts of life that you miss the big picture. But it's like all there when you like really take a step back. But as a kid, you're not gonna put that together.
It's also very reminiscent of what happened in COVID too, because it started on the other side of the world. And we were just over here literally being warned about everything happening. And they're going into lockdown, and we're over here being like, oh yeah, that sucks. And then not preparing whatsoever.
Yeah. Well, we had incompetent leaders during COVID, so that's why. Anyway.
Yeah. We get our heart broken at the end of episode 1, only for it to then get ripped out in episode 5. Actually, was it episode 5 or episode 6? I think it's episode 5, isn't it? When it
I
actually...
think it's 5. And all the odd episodes are like...
Yeah.
Pain!
Because it's like, we are introduced to Sam and Henry, these brothers that... So this wasn't in the game. They actually added this on, but Sam is deaf and is nonverbal, and he does sign language. And this is just me general. This isn't me doing any sign language. This is just me vaguely gesturing. Sorry, guys, if I said something offensive. I don't know ASL. I apologize. I just know this is what. That's all I know.
Sorry.
Yeah, sorry. But yeah, so the fact that they added that on, it kind of I think it's so beautiful that Sam doesn't even speak, but you know how he feels, you know what he's thinking, you know his connection to his brother, and you know the bond that he forms with Ellie. Like, he doesn't have to talk at all. It's just so beautifully done. And it also adds this layer of like Henry is very, like, naturally just is very protective of him because he's his brother. He's his baby brother. I also think they kind of aged down Sam a little bit in this, because Sam, like, seemed like he's maybe like a preteen, like around Ellie's age in the game. He's more like a little kid, like maybe like 9 or 8 or 9 or something in this game. Yeah, not 13. But because at one point I think Sam was like kind of sort of not quite flirting with Ellie, but like kind of was like, hey. So I love that part, like, because he's so much younger, Ellie almost becomes like a big sister to him.
Yeah.
And I love that so much.
I love that he's younger.
Yeah.
And I also love that they put that representation in there too. Because they do that like bits and pieces throughout both seasons, that there's just representation that's just there. Not like fully addressed. It's just like, this is life. And then with Sam, and just like seeing Sam's connection to Ellie and just bringing out Ellie's child again when she's already on this path with Joel where there's shooting and there's just trying to survive. And then you just see these moments of these two kids. Because again, Ellie's still a kid too. And just seeing them like play soccer. And I mean, they were screaming at times. And I was like, shh. I was like, you're going to get yourselves hurt. That's all I could think of when they were being really loud. But it was so cute to see, especially the endure and like the survive scene when Sam was teaching Ellie how to sign those, and they were bonding over the books. Yeah.
I know, the whole time.
Just so cute.
Like, I knew what was going to happen at the end because I played the game. It's just like, I know you're going to rip my heart out, Neil and Craig. I know you're going to do it, but hey, I hate you because you're making me love these guys again. Like, especially, like, I was fine with Sam in the game, but I was really attached to Henry as a protective older brother. But I fell in love with Sam so bad, like so hard in the show, because like
he was adorable.
I wanted to protect Sam at all costs, just like his brother. So the scene where like they obviously like this, they really expanded upon Sam and Ellie's friendship, and I think them having that age gap, especially, like they were able to take away that whole portion of like awkward teenage boy. It's like, no, this is just a little boy. He's just happy to be here. He just wants to draw. He wants to have people understand him. Like, he just wants to be able to communicate with people. and having Ellie is just like the best thing ever. And so when Sam tells her, he doesn't, so in the game he didn't even tell anybody that he was bitten. It just kind of
Oh
comes to light
shit.
when he turns. And so this whole scene that they added with Sam confessing to Ellie, he shows her his bite mark, and she tries to cure him with her blood. There's like this little glimmer of hope, even for people who've seen the game. It's like, I know it's not going to happen, but one can dream. Like, oh, come on. And so, sure enough, when he wakes up when they're up the next morning, and his back is to her,
Ugh.
you're just like, yep, nope.
Nope. This is bad.
Knew
Danger.
it. Knew you're
I
gonna do
don't
this
know
to me.
what's worse, like playing the game and knowing what's going to happen, or being totally caught off guard.
Was worse for
Because
season
both
2, to be fair.
things suck.
Definitely bad for season 2, but that's for
Yeah.
another discussion.
Yes. I will say though, that moment there where Sam is like, stay up with me, where he asked her the question like, if you're a monster, are you still you? And then it transitions into her trying to like use her, she's like, my blood is medicine, and this, they're kids, like that's the thing too, like they're kids, and like that's such a kid thing to be like, no, we can change, we're kids, we can change the world, I can change the world, like it's gonna be okay. And just like, no, like that dreaming that kids do, right? The imagination to be Ellie and be like, oh, I'll just use my blood, like I think it's important that they were kids. The kids were the ones in that situation, because like adults wouldn't have handled it that way, and it wouldn't have been that sweet, tender kind of moment. It would have immediately turned into survival instincts. I got to put you down, like. But because they're kids, they were able to have that hope, like you're saying, because that's a very kid thing to do. And just like
really
poor
do
Ellie,
love.
like she's like, what's the point of having this gift if only I can have it? Like that's another level of like torture that I think is always constantly going on with her, because she kind of can't like at the current state she cannot share the gift that she has. And it's just like, why have it?
But
Can't help.
what she can do is like when Sam's like, will you stay with me? She can say yes because she has that ability to get bitten. So she's the safest one out of all of them to be with him. Not that she can't get ripped apart, because again, Ellie, you're not indestructible.
Yeah.
Well, kids think they're invincible. That's the other problem with Ellie as a kid.
Yeah, I think definitely the fact that she's not able to cure Sam, definitely like when you see later on when she really wants to find the fireflies, like just adds to that. And then obviously like later in season 2, like that really contributes to a lot of her pain in season 2 as well. So
yeah, it's both motivating and like haunts her at the same time. That kind of moment with Sam. And then the other thing with Sam, like, she said, I promise I'll stay up with you. And then she doesn't. She falls asleep. So she also like breaks her promise on multiple fronts to him. And I think she internalizes it. Not that she meant to, or like that was not her intention, but like she did break both promises. And I think that really weighs on her and defines her going forward. Like, again, like this was such a good episode because it was a very like slice of life thing. We got to see what it's like to be a non-abled person navigating an apocalypse, because often it's the able-bodied people running around shooting people. But like, okay, what's it like for a person with a disability to actually survive? Like there's a layer of hardship there, and like he can't hear the guns going off. Like how does he navigate this? Like, so I thought that was a cool thing to have, because we don't think about that as able-bodied people when we're like, ooh, apocalypse. We want, pedropascal running and shooting everybody. But like, okay, what does a disabled person do? How does that work? So I like that they added that, because good question. And it really does help contextualize Ellie again. Like, because like I feel like it was a very defining experience for her to like, again, trust somebody and then try to help them and fail, and then it brings you back into the overall story of like why it's so important we have to get to the fireflies, and like why Ellie's so motivated to it, which is going to rip your heart out at the end, right? They like ripping your heart out in this. fucking story. Oh my god.
They really do.
I love it.
No, and make you question everything.
Which is great. It's great storytelling, honestly. It's beautiful storytelling. Ugh. Yeah, that was a great episode. So good.
And then obviously, like, second to last episode of the season, episode 8. I just want to give a shout out to episode 8 for being excellent, especially the opening scene and sound design.
Just being creepy as fuck.
The sound design was so well done. So, episode 8 obviously is like where we learn the story about David and his group of cannibals, who most of which are unaware that they are being cannibals. And it's so like there's like when they're actually sitting down for dinner, there is this like clattering of bowls and silverware on the bowls while they're eating, and just like they purposely like make it to where the clattering is like so loud. It just I don't know what genius thought of it, but oh my god, like it was so disturbing. It makes you feel like nauseous.
Yes.
Because of like just the insinuation of what's happening, but also just like I got a little overstimulated just like hearing it, just like, oh, so much noise, but also just like knowing what they're consuming. I'm like, dear God. Ugh.
Oh, yeah, no, the way it was like they upped the gains on that and made the clattering harsh.
Yes.
And not comforting, because like when you eat, because like later we'll go to I don't know if it was in that episode. No, it's not that episode. Like when we follow Joel and Ellie and they end up in Jackson and they're eating with Tommy and his wife. There's clattering. It does not sound like that. It's more like we're at family dinner versus like there's no noise and it's just like creepy clattering, and just everything about those people was just disturbing to me. It was so disturbing because, like, first of all, we're like, oh, Christians are still around, wonderful, and this can't end well. And then this dude comes up and he slaps a child, and I was just like, pedophile. This has to be about pedophilia. It has to be about pedophilia, and of course it was. Of course it was. Of course it was. The godly man in charge is trying to like sexually assault children. Of course it is, because of course it is. Like, ugh. And poor Ellie. Poor Ellie. That episode was so disturbing.
Also, like,
me.
kind of in a sick way, but like, good for Ellie at the end there. Like,
agreed.
I'm like,
ooh, no, good for her. But like,
like, fuck him up. But also, like, I'm so sorry that had to happen to you. Like,
same.
Ugh.
But in the overall arc of her story, I think that was really the wake up call of like, your innocence as a child is completely shattered, because like she very up to that point had that mindset of like that kids have, where it's like, I'll live forever, I'm invincible, nothing bad can happen to me, I don't need to follow rules. And it's like when she doesn't follow the rules, she puts herself in these reckless situations that almost end up with her dying, and then other people end up dying, usually to get her out of the situation. But then here's one where she is all alone in this reckless scenario and like has to be the one to do it, and like her life is directly being threatened by the monster in the room. And like, damn, the scene at the end where she's just like killing him, I love the way it's shot. First of all, it's very red because like the fire that's happening, but also just like she snaps, and I love that you don't actually see what she's doing, you just see the emotion on her face as she's doing it, and you hear it. Like, that was a really good choice in my opinion, because like it's about Ellie in that moment, and like her survival and her processing this shitty moment she's in and like triumphing, but then like at what cost? She's like has PTSD after this. Like, it's awful.
Which is an interesting choice that they made too, because in the game Joel actually comes and stops her.
Damn.
Whereas in the show, obviously Joel comes after, and she has to make the conscious decision to stop.
Yeah.
Which is such an interesting choice. Like,
and it takes a while for her too to like stop.
Yeah. Bella's acting in that was also just like so strong, because like I remember I felt so weird about, like, I just like watching that for the first time, I started crying because I felt this weird unexplainable sense of like, I didn't want to call it empowerment, but just like seeing her be able to take down her assaulter her assailant.
Yes. As a woman, I was like, this is awful that this is still happening, even in apocalyptic scenarios. And just like, the fact that she had to defend herself in that way is just, that scene gets me every single time because it's just a part of our reality now. And then to have her deal with that on top of everything else in the fucking apocalypse is just horrific. Yeesh. And it was horrific in a way, even though she triumphs. Like, it's awful. Okay. But on a separate note, I just want to go back to the fact that what I do love scattered throughout is the reminders that Ellie is a child, because we get all these little moments outside of like the mall. The mall's a big one, but outside of that, when she's traveling with Joel, we get all these moments where she just has that like childlike wonder of seeing the world. Because if you think about Ellie, she grew up in a Fedra compound. So she was isolated from the outside world and like that's all she knew. And so I love that the show took these moments to show Ellie just like seeing the world for the first time and like processing it. Like I love that where she keeps saying can't beat that view because she's never seen anything else. So I do love that there was time for that in the story, even though like, we're on a mission, we got to get somewhere. Like it is realistic for her to be like, wow, I've never seen a city skyline before. I've never seen like blue water like this before. It's just like, to your point, Caitlin, little things that we're like, oh, a tree, whatever. Like she's never seen it. Like she's read about it in books, but now she's like seeing things and like seeing the actor process that was, I thought, really special. And I like that about the show.
One of the things that like shows just how much a child too is when she asked Joel about the dam and he's like, don't ask how it works because I don't know. And she's like, well, you could have made up anything and I would have believed it.
It's true.
That made me laugh so much.
Yeah, it's true. And then I like the capitalism dig when they're in the mall. She's like, why do people want all this shit? She's not wrong. Okay. Other thing I love is how many bad bitches are in this show. Like how many women are just in charge of stuff. So there's that feminism in the apocalypse, I guess. Like looking at you, Melanie Linsky. Like I love that she shows up and she's just like this badass in charge of this like another paramilitary group. Marlene's in charge. Like I did appreciate that from the story.
Yeah.
Melanie Linsky really does play those roles well.
She's so good at it. She's fucking amazing. Okay, and then overall, I thought it was a really good choice to put Joel and Ellie together as the main characters. Because, like, thinking about it from, like, a video game, I was like, usually, you'll have some strong male lead in a zombie apocalypse, right? But they have him paired with, like, a child. And I think that's really interesting because from a storytelling perspective, you have Joel, who's lived in the world before the apocalypse, during the apocalyptic event, and after the apocalypse. So he has like all this historical knowledge of everything, and he will have a unique perspective because he lived through all that. And then you have his partner, who's Ellie, who knows nothing but the apocalypse, the aftermath. She only knows that. So I think it's really interesting because you get this blending of like perspectives between the two of them as they're exploring the current world, where like Ellie's like, I don't even know what that is. And like, but then she has this sense of wonder about stuff that Joel just took for granted. Like when they go to get the cars, and she's like, wow, in these things you can go anywhere. I can't believe you drove in these all the time. Where did you go, Joel? And he's like, nowhere really. Because he was living day to day where he's like, I went to work, I got gas, I went home. That's all he did. But Ellie sees a car and she's like, you could literally go anywhere. Like just the different perspectives I thought was really clever in this story. So I thought it, like on the surface, I'm like, this is kind of weird. But then I'm like, no, it actually works from like a storytelling point of view. You get these really interesting like conversations between the two of them that I really love, that I thought were thought-provoking as a member of the audience.
Let's say, if we're about to wrap this up, I want to just point out a couple, just like one little Easter egg that was one of my favorite things. So I forgot to write this earlier, but so there's a couple cameos in the show that the people who played the game know, but people who only watch the show might not know. So the voice actors for both Joel and Ellie, and also for Abby for part 2, are all in the show. They all make cameos in the show. So Troy Baker, who's the voice of Joel, he is basically in episode 8, he is David's kind of second right-hand man, who Ellie then throws an axe into his neck.
Oh, I didn't know that
my
one.
That's Troy
gosh.
Baker.
Shit.
Yeah, that's Joel's actor. So, and then
Oh, damn.
in the last episode at the very beginning when Ellie is born, Ellie's mom, Anna, that's Ashley Johnson, who was the voice of Ellie in the show, or in the game.
That one I knew.
Oh my gosh.
And then Laura
Yeah, I didn't know
Bailey,
any of it.
who is the voice of Abby in part 2 in the second game and the season 2, she makes a cameo as like one of the nurses.
Oh, no
she's the
way.
one. Yeah, Joel comes into the part where Ellie's in surgery and he holds up a gun, and this nurse, like, there's just a little shot of a nurse in a mask going, like, holding her hands up, walking away. That's Laura Bailey. That's the voice of Abby.
Okay, well, that's
So-
amazing. They put her in there.
Yeah.
With Abby's
Mhm.
dad. Like, damn, that was a good one.
Yeah.
That was a good
So,
one. I didn't
no,
catch that. That's a
Is the
good one.
funniest thing, like, as somebody who played the game, like, listening to, like, Ashley, especially, like, in episode when she's like running through the forest, she's grunting because she's in labor.
Right.
I'm just like, that's Ellie. Oh my god,
Right.
that is Ellie.
Yeah, I figured that when I was watching that again. I'm like, to me, that sounds like video game noises where like the characters are like exerting effort and they have to make grunting noises. To me, that's what that sounds. Because I knew that was that actor. I'm like, she must be really good at this because I'm sure she did a ton of this for the game.
Oh yeah.
So
Oh
that's
yeah.
really funny. You're like, oh my god,
I was like,
Ellie's climbing a wall. Like,
and what perfect character for her to be other than Ellie's freaking mother. Oh, and we get to learn about the lore of, like, that wasn't included in the game for, you know, proper, like, practical reasons, of how Ellie became immune. So, which was really cool.
I thought that was the best acting choice, like casting choice, was to have her play Ellie's mom. Because, like,
Oh my god.
she is the mother of Ellie because she played Ellie in the games, and here we are in the second iteration. So I love that. And just, like, I love having her be the one to love Ellie the most, because I'm sure that actor has a special place in her heart for, like, Ellie the character. And so to have her, like, be like, she's special, like, take care of her, do all these, it's like the actor, like, paying homage to their character. I love the meta-ness of that scene with her. She does such a good job. Like, it was heartbreaking, but what a great performance.
Yeah. I remember
I love
just, like,
that.
giving Troy Baker a lot of praise as playing as David's James, that's the character's name, as James, David's right-hand man, because of, like, how he didn't try to steal the show, even though he's like, I'm the OG actor. He, like,
Yeah.
he didn't try to take away from what was happening. He literally he played his part, and he did such a great job with it. And I loved that about him. Troy Baker's a great dude too. Like, I've listened to interviews about him. He's a cool dude, and he's a dad, and I love listening to him talk about his kid. So,
a real life Joel.
yeah, no, he basically is Joel.
That's so cute. Ugh. Okay, one thing I want to say though, like, Ellie's mom, like, pregnancy during the apocalypse
Oh my god.
is like my worst nightmare. Like, that whole thing, like, giving birth, first of all, is horrific, and then to have to do it while evading a zombie, like, that is like the worst scenario for a woman to be in. Like, that was awful. Like, the poor character, like, holy shit, that was mean to put her in that scenario. But, like, damn, it just adds another layer of danger to just, like, childbearing. You know what I mean? Like, that was
yeah.
She's literally running from from runners while
in labor.
Yeah, while she's in labor, she's running through the forest. Oh my god.
Like, oh my god, and then she locks herself in the room, and it's like having labor pains. Like, there's literally nothing she can do. Like, it's just like, nature is trying to take me out right now. Like, imagine that being your end. Like, that is horrific. Like, that's so fucking horrible. Something men will never have to deal with is giving birth in the middle of the apocalypse. Like, that's rough. It just there are many triggering things as a woman in this show where it's just like, oh my god, like, ugh. Anyway, that was awful. But, like, what a fucking shit. Then the fact that, like, she did give birth and didn't even realize it, because, like, all this other shit's going on, and she's like, oh, there's the baby. Like, you know what I mean? Like, damn, like, that was rough.
Oh no. She only had, like, a second to enjoy, like, the fact that her baby was born and be like, hi, and then she's like, oh fuck, I'm bit.
I'm dying.
I gotta cut this cord so I don't, like, it doesn't pass on to my child.
And then when Marlene finds her and she was about to like cut her jugular because she was running out of time, so she didn't hurt Ellie.
Yeah.
Damn. And then like Marlene, imagine having to take out your best friend. Like that whole thing was just rough. Like damn, like oh my god. And poor Ellie, like, and Ellie was born into the world and think about it again with just violence. Like her birth was violent, and then she's in the world for a bit, and then remember cover her ears, and then she starts screaming again when she hears the gun go off. Like
Which
that
they
was Ellie's
don't.
introduction to the world. Like, you know.
By the way, he doesn't
Terrible
cover her
introduction.
ears.
No, I know. I was like, you bitch, you're supposed to go. Yeah, exactly. He didn't do it. I was like,
job.
you bitch.
One job.
One job,
One
and you
job.
couldn't even protect the child.
Oh my god, that baby's gonna have some massive hearing damage. Poor baby.
No, seriously. Like, seriously. I'm surprised there aren't more, like, people with hearing impairments with all the guns.
No,
My
seriously.
question in the show is always like, okay, how many bullets are there really in the world? Because, like, it's been 20 years. We still have bullets? How? Like, who's making the... Are people making bullets? Are people mining metal, finding gunpowder? Like, how are we... How many bullets are really
That's
in America?
always what I'm wondering, especially when you see, I know this is season 2, but like you see like this huge collection of bullets that they're using to protect the wall. Like, how do you have anything left?
That's my thing. I mean,
How
like...
do you have the resources to make that?
I don't know that they are. Like, the commune doesn't seem to be making bullets. Like, they're repairing shit they already had. And so I think what you can do is excuse it and be like, well, America. Because there's more guns than people in America, so there's probably stockpiles of ammo somewhere. But it's like, it's been 20 years.
It's
How
a
have you
long
not
time,
run out of bullets?
especially that being what kills all the infected.
Right. And use it for
so many
hunting.
bullets are being used every day.
Right. There doesn't seem to be resource management when it comes to bullets.
Yeah, there's no
Like, I'm
rationing of bullets.
We should be like killing things using not bullets and saving the bullets for the zombies, but it's just we're shooting everybody all the time. Anyway, that's one of my what the fucks with the show.
I'm waiting for someone to realize, oh, we just shot the last bullet. Did
right, where's that
this?
scene? Yeah, exactly. Anyway, maybe it'll come later. I don't know. I just feel like 20 years in, how do we still have bullets? But okay. All right, so now we're transitioning into the thought-provoking / why are we here moments. Okay, so let's talk about the end. So at the end, we get a controversial moment where Joel is about to lose Ellie for the greater purpose of saving humanity. And he says, fuck that, and kills all of the fireflies just to save Ellie. Okay, and now I've heard from like, and you could maybe speak on this, Elena, like what was your experience in the game? Because my understanding is in the game, you are Joel and you are forced to kill everybody in the hospital before you can like move on. How was that experience?
So there is like an option, like you as the player, you have the option to basically like not kill, but like subdue. So like even when you go into like the surgery room to get Ellie, you have to somehow like shoot at the people to like get them to like fall to the ground or whatever. Like some people say like in their playthroughs they shot the surgeon in the hand so that he would be like, ow, I'm injured. So then you go grab Ellie while he's injured. But most people like apparently canonically in part 2 it is that he was shot in the head. Like that is the canonical story, despite what players decided to do in the game. So
damn.
Whereas
It's
obviously
gaslighting.
like yeah, and then also in the second game it's canonical that Joel basically killed everybody. Like literally everybody in the hospital. He killed everyone. So even despite what you can do in the game, you can like sneak, you can like shoot at people in the leg and like subdue them, but if like going to for canon of what happens in the next game, it's like no, Joel just fucking killed everybody, which is wild. So
yeah. Okay, so then it brings up the controversy, and this was going on when the show came out too, of like, is Joel a good person or a bad person? Because he ends up in this scenario. So I just wanted to see what you guys thought about Joel's choice to do this. What was your take on it?
What side are we on?
The whole
No, like,
thing, the
how
whole
do you think
issue
about
I
it?
have with how it was done, like from the perspective of like why the Fireflies did what they did, is that they didn't even like give Ellie the chance to say, "Let me do it."
Mm-hmm.
They didn't even give her a chance to say yes. They just literally, like, the assumption was that she was going to say yes, but then she was gonna die not knowing that she was had a purpose. That was my big issue that I had. Doesn't necessarily justify Joel killing everybody just alone by itself. Um, but I could see where Joel was just like, huh? Like, also Joel being a grieving father, still like
Yeah.
never fully processed his pain with his daughter. Um, obviously has never fully healed from any of that grief, and he may never fully heal from it. Um, but he even says to Ellie, it wasn't time that healed it. It was he basically insinuates like having Ellie come into his life is what helped him start the healing process. And so like for him to just be, especially because he's being forced to let go of her. He doesn't even get to say goodbye. They don't even get to have like parting words. It's like I understand where it's like they are literally being forced into the situation, and Joel is like, you are literally giving us no control over this after we have fought tooth and nail to get here. What the fuck? So like I can see where he would be very angry. And so that's where for me it's very conflicting, the whole literally just killing everybody. Like that part to me I'm
Yeah,
like, that's upsetting, but also like y'all kind of
I
fucked up.
understand why he did it,
Yeah.
because they would just come after them, and there would be always that constant threat of this group of people
Yeah.
wanting to come get basically his daughter now.
Yeah.
It's not good that he killed everybody, but I understand, like, even if he left one of them alive, that risk was still there.
Yeah.
There was somebody who knew who Ellie is and what she could do for people.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm with you that I think my biggest gripe with it is that nobody's right is the thing, and that's life, right? Because like
Yeah.
I'm with you. The Fireflies took Ellie's choice away. I don't understand why the hell she was already unconscious. Like, I'm like, okay, okay, as somebody who deals with infectious diseases, I'm like, you can just get some cerebral spinal fluid and see what the hell's going on, which is a procedure you do in real life where nobody's unconscious. You just put them in like a curled up position and you take a big needle and you put it into the spine, you get some fluid out, because where the cordyceps are, it's not necessarily in the brain. You would have stuff in your cerebral spinal canal that you could test, but like, this is post-apocalypse. Who knows what the hell the medical team is working with here?
Yeah.
So, who knows? I guess the assumption was they needed her brain tissue, because that's where I guess what happened with her is there's a commensal fungal organism living in her cerebral spinal fluid that basically signals to the other. It's like, this is mine, and it like fights off the other stuff for her, which is really interesting. So it's not that she's immune in the sense that you think of immunity. So, like when you get a vaccine, for example, you're not living with a virus that's protecting you. Your body has figured out that this thing is bad. I don't want it in my body again. So, you create antibodies that basically recognize it the next time this virus is in your body so that your immune system works faster next time. That's all a vaccine is, and that's immunity. But from the way they're describing it as like Ellie has a commensal fungal organism living in her body, and that's what is protecting her. Because if you think about the cordyceps thing, it's kind of like a no sum game. Like it takes over that body, and then when that body's dead, that's it. But this fungus that's living in her body is like, well, if she stays alive, I stay alive. So if I protect it, I'm protecting me. And that's like the fungus that's living in her body. And I assume she got this through the umbilical cord and got a
Yeah.
tiny amount of the cordyceps to where it like grew up in her body in a different scenario and then like became benevolent in a way, which is interesting. So I guess for some reason it's not in high enough concentration in the cerebral spinal fluid, so they need to get her brain tissue, which seems weird because like I feel like it would be making chemicals that they could work with, but anyway, who knows what they were actually dealing with here. But I don't know why she was unconscious, to be honest with you. Because running tests, she wouldn't need to be unconscious for. So like to your point, it's almost like the medical team made the decision already, which is really desperate if you think about it, because if you kill her to get this brain tissue and it doesn't work, you're fucked.
You just
so, like,
killed a kid for that, so congrats.
Okay, yeah, killing kids, but also like there is no plan B if this fails. So like to get to the point where the medical expert is like, there's literally nothing else we can do. This is the only thing we can do. Like I would imagine that doctor exhausted every other option, because if she's dead there and you fuck it up, it's over. Like you just fucked it up, like permanently. It would make more sense to keep her alive, to keep repeat testing until you get it right. So like that was real. How they got there so fast with her is crazy to me. I'm like, there's no, once she's gone, you're fucked, like as the doctor. So like I personally would be like, let's figure out another way to keep her alive, because if she dies, our chances are over. So that seemed crazy that they got there so fast.
No one said it was a good doctor.
Well, they're the only one left.
Yeah.
But again, we don't know what they're working with. I'm just, narratively, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me. So we had to get Joel in this desperate position is kind of the point. But so yeah, I don't know why she was unconscious. And the fact that she already is under anesthesia, to your point, takes her choice away. And they're assuming that's what she wanted, which was true. But Ellie didn't know she would die. So it does put Joel in a really shitty position to be like, well, you know, can I at least say goodbye to her? Like, what the fuck? Like, it just took everyone's autonomy away. So does that justify what he did? I don't think so, to be honest with you. Because, like, I mean, I understand why. I empathize with his position. But, like, again, it's that human thing where we get sucked into the minutia of our day-to-day life and we miss the big picture. The big picture is nobody is addressing the fungal situation. Like, nobody. When we go from like community to community, nobody's actually dealing with it. They're just like, that's the world now, let's keep them out. But nobody's trying to stop it. They're just like, keep it away from me. Then you have this one group of people who's like, let's fucking address the fungal problem that's making our lives like this. And here's a potential solution for humanity, for the world. And to take out the doctor, there aren't medical schools anymore. Like, this is going to be lost knowledge. A neurologist that could possibly do this, that's lost knowledge. Once he's gone, that's it. You're taking that away from humanity. Like, Joel obviously was not thinking that in that moment, but like, there goes everyone's chance at like even any other option, because you took out the one person that knew about this. Like, all your
that was just stupid.
Well, because it's like, this is what it's like, the burning of the Library of Alexandria. Once this knowledge is lost, it is lost. Because look at the communities. There aren't neurologists. It's like there are people doing practical shit. There's more construction workers than anything else. There are people who like raise animals, who farm. We don't have the leisure of learning medicine anymore. So like, once you kill off these doctors, that's it. There is nobody left to address this. And it will be potentially be like centuries before we could get to that point again. So it's like, it's a really shitty scenario, but it's like the time is ticking in this scenario. And like, this was a bad move for humanity. Like, but it goes to show that, how did we get climate change? People get so entrenched in their like, that's my love. It's like, but we're not really a collective. Like, that's kind of like the interesting part about this story to me, is that humanity is not a collective. If you look at like the cordyceps situation, once you're infected, it's like you become one mind with the mycelium, and you have one purpose, which is spread the fungus and stay alive. That's it. That's all that the infected are doing. Like, they are truly a united front. The humans are not. Like, the humans are not actually united for humanity. It's like, I'm going to do what's best for me, the individual, and like these 3 people I know, and that's it. And that's why we fail. That's why we're going to fail, because we're not actually united. We're too busy doing like, remember when we get the scene with when we do Henry and Sam, when we get sucked into that world? Are we fighting the cordyceps? No, we're playing politics. We're spending all our resources on a revenge mission. What good does that do? It doesn't do anything. And what happened? The cordyceps snuck up and killed everybody because we're just like, no, we'll deal with that later. We'll deal with that later. We have to do human to human revenge and justice. And it's like, that doesn't matter anymore. There's a bigger enemy and we're just all ignoring it, except the fireflies. And then we just killed everybody that was trying to help us. And it's like, we're never going to win. This is why we don't win. We're not united at all as human beings. And like, humans are like that now. It's really shitty. So it's really realistic the way this was written, all of that to say, but it's just this is why we lose kind of moment for me, at least personally. And honestly, I'm almost glad the lore of like Ellie's mom is lost, because the minute that secret comes out, I'm like in the back of my mind watching that being like, the minute people figure out that like infecting pregnant women while they're giving birth could lead to immunity, all the women that are going to die once that comes out, so we can quote save humanity by sacrificing mothers, forget it. Like, it would be so dangerous to be a woman in that scenario, because I 100% we would sacrifice the women so that the kids are immune.
Mm-hmm.
Against their will. Like, it would be worse than like sacrificing Ellie for a vaccine. Like, so much worse. Like, my brain goes there. I'm like,
and even if they were given a choice, they'd be like brainwashed, being like, think of the greater good and all that.
Now we're killing more people. Like, you know what I mean? It's just like, it's a shit scenario, but like, ugh.
But again, the men don't have to worry.
That's what I mean. And is that not the world we live in now? Damn. Okay. I have just a couple more things I just wanted to bring up. And this isn't a like ranty thing, but I just wanted to kind of bring this up and see what you guys thought. So at this point, now that we've seen this show, and the show came out at a time, to Elena's point that you brought up earlier, we have all lived through a global pandemic. And now we're watching this show that's about essentially a global pandemic and what happens afterwards. So I wanted to see what you guys thought. Like, has your lived experience from like COVID-19 affected the way you kind of like watch and or process shows like The Last of Us that are about pandemics?
It made it scarier, because also knowing that it's based on true science, like knowing that we could be back in this place that's not, because I was lucky not to be like severely affected by COVID like other people were and have lost people in the pandemic. But like seeing a pandemic happen, being locked down, being in quarantine, and like that they have QZs in The Last of Us, like knowing that there's a lot of similarities to these worlds, to our real life, which just made the experience watching it heightened, because it was no longer just a fantasy. This is something that really could happen, and that is terrifying to think about. Because I don't know about you, but I'm not ready. I'm not like Bill. I am not prepared whatsoever.
Yeah, I think the part that was always so scary for me is the part that really like struck a chord with me during the pandemic. Like I was similar to Caitlin. Like I was very fortunate, being in the Midwest, like especially like in Kansas specifically, like there wasn't a lot going on, like, which was good for us, because that meant for the pandemic, I mean Kansas as a whole, like there's not a lot going on. So like sincerely, which means for pandemic there wasn't a lot going on. Not a lot of people coming in and out of Kansas, so not a lot of the actual virus. I mean, yes, we did have COVID, but it was like the population was a lot less. Like living in New York now, like just hearing the stories about like how New York City was, and the fact that hundreds of thousands of people like were affected and thousands of people in New York died, whereas like maybe a few hundred died in Kansas. So over the course of like 5 years. So it's the part that really got to me like through all of it was just like seeing my neighbors, seeing my coworkers, seeing people I knew turn against other people, like, and be like this act of individualism and like not giving a shit about your neighbor. That's the part that I was just like, I'm sorry, what? Like when we had like our governor mandated masks, and
Mm-hmm. That's
half,
the
like
big one.
over half of the state just wanted to bitch about it instead of just fucking do it. It's like they're called us sheep. They called us like they called us a bunch of names for just like wanting to care about not getting everybody sick, and started like denouncing medicine, started denouncing science, and it was like, why? Like I felt like we were really, I mean, we were falling backwards. We were taking so many steps back. And I think that's the part of the pandemic for me that like really was the scariest for me. Um, just watching that unfold around, like, so close to home, like around me. Like, thankfully not in my family, but like just like even at my job I worked at the time, like most of the people I worked with did not give a shit about wearing masks, did not give a shit about getting each other COVID. I had a supervisor who came into work who was currently waiting for her test results for COVID and came into work anyway. And I was like, why? Why? And then she tested positive that day. So like, why are you even here? Because gotta make money. So that's my little rant about people not caring. So, and witnessing that
And you see
in,
like how
yeah, seeing that like in The Last of Us, and it gets to an extreme point where they're literally killing each other over things. It's like, we're not
Yeah.
far off.
No. Yeah, living through COVID definitely skewed the way I view apocalyptic media forever, because we were in that scenario. Could have been worse, but just to see how people actually behave in the scenario, because we fantasize it. We're like, yeah, everyone will band together and like, fight against the greater good. No. What
No.
will happen is exactly what happens in this show, where the humans will lose because humans do not band together. We don't.
I mean, you saw like the mask thing. Like that was such a small thing, and it divided everybody.
Because there was propaganda against it. Our government weaponized it for political again, we got sucked into human politics, which is not important. The virus and the fungus does not care about your politics. It's like, okay, it's like in the Game of Thrones, right? What is the whole point of Game of Thrones? The people keep squabbling about who's in charge, who's not in charge. Meanwhile, you have the White Walkers, okay? That's the virus, that's the fungus. That's the actual threat. The only people who give a shit about it are the people guarding the wall who deal with it. And they're like, no, this is bad, guys. This is bad, guys. And then everyone's like, yeah, whatever, the South. They're like, yeah, whatever, whatever. Until it comes to your doorstep, nobody cares about it. That's exactly what humans do, okay? Nobody cares in America. Like, you're kind of describing it almost as like this passive experience where it's like, it didn't truly affect me, but I was there. It actually did. We all lived through it. We actively lived through that. But some people view it as this passive experience where it's like, I could wear a mask or I could not. Like, bitch, that happened to all of us. What do you mean? Like, I was an infectious diseases resident. I remember we were treating people who were denying they were sick with it and refused treatment. And we're like, you are literally going to die unless we give you this. And they're like, no, it's a hoax. And they were literally
Oh my
actively dying.
god.
That actively died of it because the family all refused treatment because they denied it was happening. And then my family member died. And it's like, that was the insanity of this scenario where like we let our politics kill us. And that is why humans will lose in the apocalypse. So like anytime I see a piece of media that's like we band together, I'm like, no, we don't. No, we don't. We don't. Half the population is going to deny it's happening and fuck it up for everybody else. And like that's the thing with Joel. Like Joel, for better or worse, good or I understand why he did what he did, but he fucked up humanity because of one person. That in the grand scheme of things doesn't matter. Like we're in a survival scenario. Like in the grand scheme of things, you're gonna die anyway. Like that is life, and it's like here we are. It's like we will not band together. We will not win. So it really does skew the way I view things because I watched people literally not care, like just choose to ignore the actual big picture for their own whatever comfort, feeling of superiority, whatever the hell. Like, people will put their own bullshit above like the actual greater good. People don't do that. They're not. We're not this romantic species that is like, yeah, we always do the right thing. No, we don't. We actually do the right thing a lot less often than you think we do. So, yeah. Anyway, that's my spiel. So, yeah, okay. I think I think living through a pandemic, it does affect the way you view this, kind of like one way or another. And then last thing I just kind of wanted to pose to you guys is something I thought about a lot the first time I watched this, especially when you get to like the David episode of like the Christian cannibals and all that shit. Is my question when watching this is like, who are the real monsters in this story? Like, is it the infected? Or is it the people that aren't infected living in this survivalist world? And I always thought this was really interesting because, like, on the surface, you have the infected, like, they're scary, right? But it's like, again, it's a fungus trying to survive. It's fungus in survival mode using the tools available to it, right? The cordyceps are just trying to, like, fruit and multiply. That's kind of all it's doing. It's not like being malicious, it's just surviving. And but then you have like and then the people that are infected by this, they're not choosing the infection. It's happening to them. Their bodies are hijacked and the fungus is going on its way, just hijacking this body, right? So it's not like evil, it's just like living. But then you have the humans. You have humans that actively choose to be evil in this world. Okay? Like, okay, let's think about the uninfected humans for a minute because to my point in the pandemic that we experience, some humans will work together and some humans won't. So, how they do it is interesting. So, let's start with Fedra. So, that's the first group that's like corralling people, trying to give people a sense of control, like safety and normalcy. They did that through like military control. Remember that like hierarchy, and they're like, step out of line, we'll kill you. And sometimes they did horrible shit where they're like, we don't have enough room for people. And if we leave you outside the wall, you're going to become the enemy. So we have to kill you. So, like, not good, not bad, but it's like controlling everybody is one method. So that's Fedra. And they kind of keep the peace through like control. Then you have groups like the Fireflies, and the Fireflies keep their people in control through ideology, a shared ideology. We're going to make the world a better place. We're actually going to find a cure. And that keeps people peaceful because they give them a purpose that they can work towards, and that people will choose to like stay in harmony in their group, right? But still, it's through a hierarchy, it's through that paramilitary thing, it's through that step out of line, I'll kill you kind of shit. But it's more like, yeah, but we're working together, right? Versus like, I'm forcing you into this because I have a gun.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have the communists who are like, we're all on the same page. We all agree. We're all going to do this. That's the Jackson, Wyoming group. The most humane. That's what humanity could be, but we choose not to be. Okay. So, like, that's the like utopia, right? Then we have a whole ass group of people who are not doing any of that. Okay. You have a whole ass group of people that we don't really interact with a ton, but they're like the taking advantage of the world to quote survive. And these are like the predators. And then you have people like David who's doing gendered violence because people are desperate, right? He's like got a cult, and like when his monologue to Ellie, when he's talking to her at one point, when he has her in the cage and he's like, I see something in you that's like me. He's like, I've always been a monster. I've always wanted to enact great violence. He was a fucking teacher. Okay. That's creepy to hear that this teacher has always been a predator. But because we were in this world where like you can't openly be a predator, he's like, I always had to suppress that. But now we're in a post-apocalypse and I can be as much of a fucking monster as I choose to be. It's really creepy that you also have that side of humanity that actively chooses to be a monster versus like the infected. They're not choosing that's happening to them. It's just like, who's the monster? Because we hear mentions of like slavers. We brought back slavery. What is wrong with us? We got raiders, sexual assault. It's like, what are we doing? Like, what are we doing as a species? It's awful. Ah. So who's the monster of the story? I love that.
Everyone.
Yeah. Anyway, that's my rant. I think the people are worse, to be honest, because we choose it.
No, that's true. Because technically the infected are, like you said, working together to survive.
they have unity, which is something, but it's just.
But they're like the collective monster that all the humans can agree on. But again, they don't focus on that. If they would just focus on that,
the world would be maybe a better place. But then it makes it really hard to have a character like Henry. So when we first meet Henry and he's first like sharing himself with Joel, he's like, I've never killed anybody. The most that I've ever done is like hold a gun at you. I'm trying, like, he's like, we learned that he has killed, he was responsible for the death of somebody, but like, he's like, I'm trying to get out of this without being a bad person. It's impossible because the world is filled with people who are choosing to be terrible. So it's really hard to be like a quote good person when that can get you killed, right? It's like really terrible. Like it's a really shitty situation. But so it's very interesting the way they had a variety of different characters with a variety of different mindsets to really show like the breadth of humanity in such a short story that's like focused on getting a girl from point A to point B. That's really the whole point. But like there's so much going on and so much world building in it that I really love that about this story. And I thought it made it unique for me compared to other zombie stories, which are just like kill the zombies. And that gets really boring really fast for me.
You make excellent points, Theora. I just love everything you're saying in this episode. It's very informative.
I thought a lot about season 1 because it's just such an interesting scenario. And we've kind of lived through a similar one that it's like, well, Anyway.
Yeah, it's scary.
Anything else to say about season 1 before we wrap this up?
They did great. I mean,
they did.
They really brought the video game to life in a really well done way.
Is there anything that was in the game that wasn't in the show that you wish was in it?
Oh man. I'm trying to remember everything that happens in the game now.
Sorry, that's a lot.
Oh jeez. Because they added so much, so I'm trying to think if there was anything that they left out. There's this part, I think it's in the show though, that Ellie gets the toy to Sam. Did she do that in the show? She like gives him a toy or something, an action figure. I don't know if that was in the show.
I think it might.
But there's this moment. I don't know if there's an action figure. There was the comic.
Okay, because there was a moment in the game where you can basically give her, or you are playing as Joel and you can like look over, and if you catch Ellie at the right time, you can see her picking the toy up in one of the shops. But it's easy to miss. Like you have to catch it at just like the perfect time, or else she'll be like, I wasn't doing anything. So that's really cute. That was a really cool little detail from the game. I liked a lot of the additions of characters, especially like oh my gosh, what's the name of the antagonist, the woman antagonist in episode 5 with the Henry and Sam, the one that's trying to kill Henry and Sam?
Melanie Linsky's character.
Catherine? It's just Melanie Linsky.
It's just Melanie Linsky.
I was like, whoever she is, she did an amazing job. She made me hate her character so much. Oh man, there is a part where Sam and Henry bring Joel and Ellie into a school. And that's where you encounter the really big clickers, the bloaters. That was really horrifying in the game, but I understand why they took it out of this show, because it wasn't necessarily like required for the part of the story. Oh man, this was another like little detail that was really fun, knowing behind the scenes. So all the clickers, the people who were like doing the body performances for the clickers, were all like really big fans of the video games. So they were like purposely people who knew and had like watched the movements of like how the clickers work. And I remember the clickers are creepy as hell.
Yes.
So
yeah.
And they did so good with the show and like demonstrating like just how terrifying they actually are. So yeah.
They did a great job, because that was terrifying. Like in the behind the scenes, you see some of the audition tapes for it too.
Yeah.
And I didn't think like, oh yeah, they have to audition too.
You know what, Theora? There is one part that I wish they would have kept in, but I kind of understand why they couldn't for like safety of actors reasons. There is a part in the game where I think it's Joel gets he gets caught in a trap and he gets suspended upside down. And you have to shoot at runners and clickers upside down and try to protect Ellie.
Oh, that's a cool thing to play in a game, though.
I can see why they didn't put that in the show, though, because I don't think they would want to put Pedro upside down trying to fire. That's like a safety thing. I can get why that was not part of the show, but it was so good in the game. It was so fun.
No, that's a cool game moment for sure to have to do that.
Good shit.
One thing I want to say really quickly about the show is like the makeup people who had to do like the infected. Holy shit, did they go all out and did a phenomenal job with the makeup for like those characters. It was like beautiful, like it was horrific, but like beautiful the way they did it. Like, yeah, well done, whoever worked on that. Like, that was incredible. Like, I can't even imagine what the process was like for the actors for like to get done up as the cordyceps people. Like,
how many hours?
I assume.
Yeah, how many hours in that makeup chair?
There was 200 people in one of the scenes that were infected that they had to do. And they, for their outfits, they only had one costume. So it was like crazy. They could not mess up the costumes or else they'd be screwed.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, damn. Like, yeah.
Crazy.
Overall, everybody did their job beautifully. Storytelling wise, just season 1 is very special and it's very like rewatchable. I really, really loved season 1 a lot. It made me want to play the game.
Do it. It's so good.
My wife wouldn't let me get a PlayStation.
It's on Steam. It's on Steam now.
Okay.
Which means you can play it on your computer.
You can play it online.
Okay. I don't like playing computer games. I'm old school. I like the controller.
It was very good you might be able to get a adaptable one. I don't know. But it's looking.
We're in a different place now. Maybe I can get a PlayStation now. But like, she was like, judged me so hard it wouldn't let me get one. I was like, okay, fine. I will.
Okay, note, send a PlayStation to Theora.
Leave it in the comments to be like, you should get a PlayStation, and then I can show her that. Help me out.
Hashtag get Theora that PS5.
Yes, that's what I wanted. All right. Okay, so before we wrap this up, let's do some final thoughts. So I'm just going to do my Taylor Swift song that I think encapsulates The Last of Us, which is Exile, because they gave so many signs. This is like episode 1, where she was like, I didn't get a warning sign. There was something wrong. There were so many signs something was wrong. And then we literally all got exiled. So,
yeah, that's perfect. My song is I Know Places. And it's basically Joel like trying to get Ellie out of like the fireflies thing.
Oh, damn.
Because like it's... The lines are, you stand with your hand on my waistline. Like, it's a scene and we're out here in plain sight. I can hear them whisper as we pass by because, like, they know what's going on with Ellie. It's a bad sign, bad sign. Something happens when everybody finds out. See the vultures circling, dark clouds. Love's a fragile little flame. It could burn out because they got the cages, they got the boxes and guns. They are the hunters, we are the foxes, and we run.
Oof.
Yeah. And then just also the line, just grab my hand and don't ever drop it. Because, like, they got so close. And, like, they're just trying to survive together. And, like, basically that's the whole thing, too. Because, like, she is immune. If anyone finds out, they would be circling her with vultures.
Yeah. No, agreed.
True.
But then he flips it and becomes the hunter.
Yep. So, yeah.
No, love it, love it. Okay. Any big gay energy awards for this? I'm gonna give it to Ellie having the courage to kiss Riley. Because honestly, like, that moment was, first of all, the way they acted it was really sweet, where it was just this moment of just like big emotions and happiness when Riley's like, okay, I'll stay. And then Ellie, I'm just proud of Ellie for doing it, because that's a lot to like have a crush on your best friend, but then to actually kiss your best friend. Good job, Ellie. Was very
what are you gonna lose now?
I know, right?
Mine is Bill choosing to leave with Frank.
Oh, that was so fucking cute.
That was definitely on my list there, yeah.
There's already pills in the bottle, enough to kill a horse.
Yep.
I love that line. I love Bill.
Yeah.
They were so cute.
I was gonna say
those
either
stories were
Bill
cute.
or Frank, honestly, just because like
Just Frank.
Frank with the strawberries, like
So cute.
like
Aw,
how often in an apocalypse would you see like that sense of joy, especially like getting to see just middle-aged queer men
Yes.
feel unadulterated joy
Yes.
about
Period.
strawberries.
Yes, they were crying about strawberries. Like, yeah, I agree. That level of like pure emotion from middle-aged men, period.
Yeah.
Chef's kiss. Thank you for the Bill and Frank episode. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah.
All right. Well, if you made it this far in this episode, we definitely want to know. So I have a challenge for you. And today's challenge is I want to know in the comments, or you can leave a review and tell us this too. Why not? The question is, if you could give any of the characters like a side quest or a storyline that's added, what would it be? Like, for example, I kind of want to see Sam and Ellie like start playing pranks on Joel and Henry.
That would be
Just
cute.
Yeah.
just for some more humor. But like it can be anything. I'm just curious.
I would like Marlene's point of view of the hospital stuff and like what they're actually doing. Cause like we got the aftermath of some of that stuff where like Joel and Ellie show up at the original like the university hospital and there's nothing there and they're like, who are these papers and stuff like that? I want to know what the hell they were actually doing because I'm just very curious what they were doing.
Oh my god, I totally forgot the actor who plays Marlene is the same actor from the game too. I totally forgot that.
That plays Marlene.
Yeah, it's the same.
That's
it's the same
cool.
actor. She's the only one from the game that's also in the show, playing the same character.
Playing the same character, yeah.
She talked about saying that when she heard about it, she's like, I need this.
Yeah,
That's so cute.
She was like, please, and they're like, yeah, girl, obviously.
She was so good.
Oh man. Side quests. I would love to know where those giraffes go. I want to play as the giraffe.
Valid. I want their journey of like getting out of the zoo. How'd they get out? And then like they're like, well,
I guess we're here now.
What was that like for the giraffe? Like, what's all this?
Because I'm gonna go get some trees.
That's a good point.
I guess
while
we'll eat those
filming,
trees.
we were at the zoo, and they made the whole room blue.
Yeah.
So they could CGI everything in, but so like they were literally just there to feed the giraffe, and then they got out.
Yeah, so cool.
Awesome. All right, well, thank you for joining us for our recap of season 1. If we missed anything, let us know in the comments. What did you like about the series? If you played the game, what were some differences? Let us know your opinions. We will be back to discuss season 2 in a similar format, so get ready for that. And until next time, hydrate for lesbian Jesus.
And gay it up all over the place. Bye.
And with that, we've been Big Gay Energy. If you like this episode, check out all our other episodes right here on YouTube.
Please like, leave a comment below, and subscribe for more amazing super gay content.